Yo, it's Whitson, gets it. Step into the mic, bro. Talking flat earth, get ready for the hype, bro. Aced algebra in school, honors too, bro. Gravity's a lie, yeah, I'm in the zone, bro. Electrostatics, that's the real deal, bro. They say the earth's the globe, but that ain't right, bro. I'm the best flat earth debater, bro. Humbly, opposition ain't on my level, so, but let's not get too technical, bro. This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. Our model, though not defined in full, bro, is superior. Your model's falsified, bro. Van de Graaff generator, electrostatics amaze, bro. Made objects change weight, just a phase, bro. 100 volts per meter electric field, you know, bro. Flipped it with 400,000 volts, whoa. Small things floated, defying gravity like totally, bro. Next I'll rub a cat to a brick to show. This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. MCToon and Globers, you can't deny, bro. Witsit gets it's here to testify, bro. Most times I don't remember you exist, yo. I'm the flat earth king, you better believe it so. Moon phases are like a magnetic cycle, bro. Center of a ferrocell, image magnets glow, bro. Charge up and down, etherically displaced, yo. Kinematic equivalence explains it all somehow, bro. It might sound tough, but let's skip details, yo. You might believe I have an amplitude for math, ho. It's all just a lot of salad in my words, yo. Words, yo, words, yo. This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. And what happened is they brought in Einstein to totally save their physics redefined, to flip physics all on its head, bro. To keep Earth moving around the sun, you know. And in the magnetic torus field, I say the path.
Let's get it ready. Here we go.
This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro.
You're so out of leaguer, bro.
This is so funny, you're getting crushed, bro. I'm schooling you, bro. You are literally losing the debate, bro. You are so out of your league, bro. If this debate was a rap battle, I would have totally won, bro.
Dude, you gotta love Conspiracy Music Studios. Their music videos are amazing. I love them. I love them all. Welcome everybody to Tuesday night. It's actually a Tuesday night on a Tuesday night. I'm glad you're here, and we're gonna do this is part 2 of the debate review between Witsit and Jeran. Jeran, who escaped the Flat Earth cult. And Witsit. So last night I watched the first part. If you want to watch that, if you're not live watching this, you might want to go watch that first. It's on my channel. You'll find it. Maybe I'll link it in the description even. I'm right here. I'm wearing the Nathaniel Son of Tom thanketh thee for playing shirt. Yes, you know it. Nathan Thompson's mom bought him this shirt. Not kidding. Anyway, I almost touched nothing since yesterday. We're right where we left off. So we'll be jumping right in. I don't know if there's anything else to say. I got tomorrow. I'm going to do a live stream. Speaking of Nathaniel, son of Tom, he went to Lake Tahoe and he proved the globe. He saw Calneva Resort across the water, and it was just above the horizon. Just a tiny bit above the horizon, even though it's hundreds of feet high. There's a whole bunch of land blocked by something 20 miles across there. I'll probably cover that at some point. So anyway, let's see. Casey Cooper says, well met, Mike. My book 2 launched this week. If you liked the first one. Which one was your first one, Casey? Do I have it back here? I bet I do. It's probably right back there. Anyway, so I never did anything on the observations we did there. The weather wasn't ideal. The night before was really good, and the Robinson brothers did a super good video, and I linked to that from my Conspiracy Tunes channel. So, and then I got an email from one of them saying, hey, yeah, we saw Nathan Thompson went there, and yep. Casey, the Ballad of House Draconis. Oh yes, I've got that book back here. Maybe I'll grab it and show it off here in a bit. But let's get back into this here. And I've got some stuff planned. I've listened to the rest of this. I know what's coming up, and I got a few things coming. So anyway, here we go.
Earth predicts something completely different. It would be much lower. It's on a globe, and it matches the flat Earth prediction every time consistently.
Right?
What?
Stellarium is right when it tells you what the angle would be from the mountain.
Yes, the thing is that we're talking about the input. The one measurement you're making is the actual observer. The observer is making that measurement. What's the time that the star is occulted by that mountain? And then we're going to compare that. It makes a perfectly straight line where it wouldn't on a globe. And so what all the globe proponents have been trying to do is claim refraction, trying to find out any way they can to claim refraction. And they can't with this, though, because it's occulted. It isn't there. It's not even there to talk about, to invoke refraction. It's not even applicable. So the sky doesn't help. If we these always just get thrown under the rug. These are like major problems. So we're claiming the globe is a physical geometry changing our physical positioning, and that's why we see the sky the way we do. Then how come whenever we start to get down where hyperbolic visual space would be expected to converge, that's what we see. We can't use the globe, or we can't even navigate. Then we
I'm muted. Oh, amateur hour. What was I saying about Whitson? Oh yeah, we can use the globe to do celestial navigation. I will go into more detail about celestial navigation later. But anyway, this is the book by Casey Cooper, Ballad of House Draconis, right there, and he's in the audience. So there it is. I did not read it yet, though. It's my genre for sure. I love this kind of stuff. I haven't read it yet because you know what I do? I read tech books. I read flurf books. Like, look at this. I've been reading this one here, The Ramblings of an Old Man, from a flurfer. We got this one here. I read a little bit from Jack Stone. This guy is maybe the pen name, but Flat Earth Data. That guy's nuts. Of course, I got this one. Oh, knocked over the fan. I got this one here by Edward Hendry. I got the Nephilim Crown 5G Apocalypse by Dean Henderson. That guy's nutty. Let me fix this. Hold on. I'm not done. I got another. One more. This one here. This is on the bottom of the stack on the floor there. Mark Sargent's Book of Dumb right here. There you go. That you know what? I love this type of genre. But for you, I want to read that kind of stuff. Anyway, Casey Cooper, glad to have you in the audience. My son loves that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll have him read it and see what he thinks. Icy Spin says, say hi to the drunk debunk community watching on Discord, bro. Well, hi TDDS community Discord. We got Specs says, hell yeah, part 2, get 'em Toon. And then X Illusion X, it says a new member at noon, but X Illusion X has been a member for a long time. Anyway, thank you for updating that or changing that or whatever it is that changed. So, all right. The curved visual space nonsense that he was talking about last night, which of course is all rubbish. It's only papers about human ability to not measure distances with our eyeballs.
Try to make corrections, we have to use plane measurements, plane trig, plane geometry to even make the corrections for the refraction that we're presupposing. So like this is a major problem for the globe. And this, I want to hit something meta, and I'm gonna give it back to you. This is the meta part here, right? That you're like, because this is what I don't understand, right? I believe you.
I mean, I should make sure I understand. Everybody understands this. It's not a major problem for the globe. Celestial navigation has worked using the globe for centuries. Nobody has ever used flat Earth to do celestial navigation. So it's not a major problem for the globe. Not even a little problem for the globe. When I offered flat earthers $10,000 to do celestial navigation using flat Earth, what did they do? Nothing. No flat earther for $10,000 cost them nothing to enter, and they couldn't do celestial navigation using flat Earth. I will give you, you do nothing it costs you nothing to enter. It costs you nothing to try. Do celestial navigation using flat Earth. Can't use the globe. If you use the radius of the globe, then you used the globe. You have to use flat Earth geometry. They can't do it. It's a major problem for flat Earth. It's a joke for them that they can't do it, yet they still talk about it. They should always run away from it. But they live in echo chambers, and so they feel like in their echo chambers they can talk about it. All right.
You're saying you don't understand how I'm still a flat earther. You don't get it. I went there with you, and how do I not see it? And you think that I'm not stupid. You don't get it. This is how
you know something I don't.
Okay, well, how I feel though, right, is like I don't understand how if there is an entire list of refutations, geometric refutations that need to be addressed. If I come over here and I see something that we previously just didn't have
but there isn't. That's the thing. Of course, there isn't a list of refutations.
access to. That was the issue. We didn't have reliable access to it. That's how we felt. So that we went and verified it. How am I going to see that and then be like, okay, well, I don't really know exactly how that would work on a flat Earth. And then somehow it just nullifies the whole other list. Because what you're saying, right? You're saying you're bringing up the appeal to incredulity. And if we just do that, what are we just going to sit here forever? Because what I'm saying is you're saying it can't be true because you don't understand how it could be true, which is an appeal to incredulity. And you're saying, well, then we're just going to sit here and not know how stuff works forever. Apply that same thing to your side. When I ask you about the star, it's going to be we don't know how it works. It's going to be think about the long list of refutations of the globe. Currently, your response to all of them is going to be like, I don't.
There is no long list of refutations of the globe. Let me remind you. Austin talked about the celestial theodolite I showed yesterday. Austin just hasn't paid attention. I showed yesterday that Jesse, Path of Light, he goes by Path of Light on Discord, Jesse Path of Light, has done the measurement using the same method as the celestial theodolite and found that depending on where you are, it matches the globe or flat or concave. The reason why is because it's a flawed method.
I don't know how it works.
Well, I don't know any. So you're telling me there's observations that you just said that it doesn't work, that we do 69 miles. But let me just say this. So if you know what your degree of latitude means, right? So if we're talking about the difference between 42 degrees and 32 degrees, we know that that's 10 degrees. And so we know that is the distance between those two locations would be 690 miles. So are you saying that if we measured it, it wouldn't work out? I don't understand how you can say it doesn't work, yet it's how the world is mapped.
No, I'm saying that generally speaking, that relationship is somewhat accurate. We're actually using planar geometry to even do it. And if you were to go into the real world,
so every time he says planar geometry for the rest of this debate, I want you to swap in Euclidean geometry, because that's what he's saying. He's saying planar geometry, but in no instance when he says the words planar geometry is he talking about planar geometry. Every time he's only talking about Euclidean. Every time.
And try let's just assume there's a globe and it's 1 degree per 69 miles, and I'm actually like, oh look, it's kind of cloudy up above me, but I see some stars that are like 10-15 degrees above the horizon. If I actually start navigating using that, I will not be able to do it. If I assume there's a globe, it won't work. And that's a major problem, because this side would predict that. My prediction would be that.
That's how they sail boats. That's how they sail boats. That's how they found the South Pole. That's how they found the North Pole. Everything that they've done is through the stars, and you're just throwing it away and saying, oh, we wouldn't get anywhere. We wouldn't actually be accurate. But that's
no. I'm saying yes, there's no doubt that we have a well-established relationship between the sky and how we navigate. Like, no one can dispute that.
And so it's not a problem for the globe because we use the globe. We do not use flat Earth geometry to figure out our position in celestial navigation.
But the point is, like, why? Why is it the way that it is? Why do we see it the way it is? Why are we able to use it reliably? You're saying it's because it's a globe. We're physically changing our angle, our orientations, making the stars look different. Right? That's the claim. But in reality, that doesn't match the evidence. I'm saying we're on a plane, and
how does it not match the evidence? Pay attention. He never goes over how it doesn't match the evidence. He makes some claims. His biggest claim is that below 15 degrees angular elevation, the celestial navigators say you should not use those measurements because refraction makes them unreliable, and we don't know the conditions ahead of time. When you're sitting days, hours, weeks, years ahead of time creating a table for refraction, you don't know the specific conditions in the lower atmosphere. We know the conditions in the upper atmosphere. They don't vary much. But in the lower atmosphere, they vary quite a bit. And so since we don't know them for any day in the future, you say, well, you can't make a table for that day and that location. That's why they say don't do that.
the way that we see is not in these perfect infinite straight lines. That's factually not true. We can even disprove it with railroad tracks. So we would expect there to be a pretty solid relationship right in the middle, the little sweet spot, until we get to the extremities where it's going to converge and become logarithmic.
That's nuts, right? The fact that we see train tracks, when we look at train tracks, we look at them and we see a straight line. That's not curved visual space. If it was curved visual space, then when they were near, they would not be the same straight. They wouldn't appear straight, right? You'd have some sort of curve bulging in or bulging out as they were near you, and then there'd be a stretch where they appeared straight, and then far away there'd be a stretch where they were, bulging in or bulging out, depending on which way these papers suggest things. But once again, these papers only say that that humans are bad at measuring distances with our eyeballs.
Literally what we see with curved visual space is what we see. We mapped it out. We mapped it out, is what I'm saying. It's reliable because we mapped it out. There's no doubt that's how we see the sky.
So Steel City JW says, did you ban Dick Wayne? So Dick Wayne is in here whining, so you're a hypocrite and liar, thanks for being this. Like, I didn't. So here it is, Dick Wayne's account, not banned, but it could be that during a live stream somebody banned Dick Wayne. It could be. I don't ban people generally, and if I do during a live stream, I usually announce it. So if somebody here thinks that somebody needs to be banned, then typically we have a little bit of a discussion about it. There are a few things that justify an instant ban. A few things. Typically, like calling for people's elimination, or some severe anti-Semitism, which seems to be super popular. That kind of stuff will get you banned by anybody in the audience here. Otherwise moderators don't ban, right? So maybe somebody did ban Dick Wayne. I don't know. But obviously here he is, and I didn't ban him. If I didn't want him here, I would have just banned him again, but I didn't. So there you go, Dick Wayne. Go cry into your pillow. Ask your mommy to make you some herbal tea, and then cry yourself to sleep into your Gleason map pillow. So there you go.
The debate is about, why do we see the sky that way?
Yeah, I get you. Because I just measured from 20 degrees to 30 degrees, and it's exactly 687 miles, which is what you would expect, 69 times 10. And then what I'm saying is, so those two are not within the refraction zone, being at 20 and 30 degrees. So what you could do is then just move here and do it again for another 10 degrees, do it again for another 10 degrees, and you would keep going until you've done 24,901. That's the whole sphere. You're saying at some point that would break down. That's a paradox. Where does it break down? Where does it fall apart? Where does the Earth stop conforming to being a sphere? Because it does everywhere else.
Austin cannot answer this. He knows. He cannot answer it.
Just like, so the next thing I wanted to get into, and that's just...
Well, wait up, though. Like, I want to bring up a flat Earth evidence.
Okay.
Because, like, realistically, the star being occulted by the mountain is not answered, right? Like...
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a kind of a new thing that I think that people are working through right now. I don't fully understand it because of the fact that you're using stellarium, which is giving you the curved Earth angles, correct? It's not giving you flat Earth angles, it's giving you curved Earth angles, but you're saying you're taking a location from where stellarium is not even talking about. You're further back than that, right? Stellarium is just telling you where the mountain top to the star is. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And then
yes.
you're drawing your location back here and saying, oh, now if we draw an angle to that mountain top. Right, so you're kind of adding something that stellarium is not accounting for.
Well, that's the whole point, is like the one measurement you're taking is you're standing there, you're looking at the star, you're looking at the mountain. Once the star is occulted by the mountain, boom, write the time down. Okay.
So why wouldn't refraction come into play? I don't understand what you mean by that.
Because, okay, well, now the star is occulted.
So, why? And Jeran asked a really good question here. So you see the star, you see the star, you see the star, and then at one instant you stop seeing it because it's blocked. So at that instant, right when it's being occulted by the mountain, it is seen. Therefore, refraction applies. You don't get to pretend refraction doesn't exist, but it doesn't matter because Heffron's method that he's using for this celestial theodolite thing is deeply flawed. And so when you're near the mountain, you get globe Earth. When you're farther from the mountain, you get flat Earth. When you're really far from the mountain, you get concave Earth. Depending on how high the mountain is too. That varies it as well. So it's just bad geometry. And who reviewed this guy's bad geometry? Flat earthers. And if you've read, I've read his book. The guy talks geometry, but it's not great. He doesn't he'll start out on something. I'm like, oh, okay, this is good, and then he goes off into something weird.
Occulted. We're accounting for the position of the star once we're not even seeing it. It's occulted. So how are we going to say the position of the star is because it's being refracted? It's not. It's about an
It's going to be somewhere. So when we see the sun set, they say that it's actually still above the horizon, right? It's gone, but it's still there, or whatever. It's always somewhere about a half a degree off of where we think. So that would be the same with stars, meaning that if you're accounting when a star gets occulted by a mountain, it would make a difference as to where it's refracted to. Is it refracted above the mountain, below the mountain? Is it? I would think that would matter, but it doesn't matter in your case because you're not actually taking any information from the location that you're at. You're just measuring. Stellarium is not taking that into account at all. Correct? Am I correct in that? Stellarium doesn't know that you're taking an observation of the. It's just telling you from a mountaintop to this star. This is the angle. Correct? That's correct. That's what Stellarium's telling you. And then you're saying, well, if we step back further and measure to that mountain, then it matches a planar angle. And does that? I guess where I'm confused is that then matches Stellarium or doesn't?
No,
All 33's here. And there you go. There you go. Anyway, 33 is definitely a whack-a-troll here. So there you go. Whoever, yeah. And if you get them, right, then step back. And then why did I say I want to see a flat earther and a hollow earther debate? Why did a DK shadow get hopefully that was a mistake. Okay, let me show you this here. So Austin was talking about refraction at low elevations. So the almanacs don't suggest you do that, and there's a good reason. And I need to get this out of here. So here is the almanac for 1766. It's actually not the almanac. This is the tables requisite to be used with the astronomical and nautical ephemeris, 1766. So, this is the table here. Let's get this guy out of here. This is the refraction table, and it does go all the way to 0. See that? It goes all the way to 0. And so the apparent altitude here goes, and for some reason Austin says you can't use 90. I don't know why he says you can't use 90, but at 90 there's 0 refraction. You definitely don't need to account for refraction straight up. But anyway, here is, so below 15 degrees, so right here, 15.0 degrees, it's you add 3.3 arc minutes, I think. No, arc seconds. No, minutes and seconds. So there it is. At 15 degrees, you add 3 minutes, 30 seconds. So 3.5 degrees of due to refraction. So something will appear 3.5 degrees, 3.5 arc minutes higher. And below that, now these numbers start to get less and less reliable. And you see that they start to get larger too, pretty quickly. So here we were at 10 degrees, 10.3, 10 degrees, 30 minutes. You go 5 5 minutes up. 5 minutes increase. So it's getting pretty large. Now we go here to 9. We're at 548. And at 5 degrees angular elevation, you're almost adding 10 arc minutes. So your angle to the above the horizon is small, and the amount that you're adjusting is large. And this is because of refraction. It makes perfect sense. But how much it varies, we don't really know. It depends on conditions. So these get less and less reliable. But this actually goes all the way down to 0. So at 0 degrees angular elevation, you add 33 arc minutes, so about a half a degree. So, and we know that, right? We say, well, when the sun just begins to appear to set, it has already set according to the straight line. And the sun is how wide? 30 arc minutes wide. So right here, about this amount here. So totally makes sense. But local conditions and, of the day can change that. So, Jack Better says, is a spit talking about that BS method they created that only works at specific distances, which they happen to use in the demo, but fail otherwise? Yes, he is using that. So, anyway, we've got, so Dick Wayne asked, this is a great question, what is flat earth geometry? And the answer to that lies in the hands of flat earthers. It is up to flat earthers to show how geometry works for flat earth. And you know what flat earthers have never done? They've never shown how flat earth geometry works. They claim over and over again that flat earth geometry works, but it doesn't. Because when I say, okay, fine, walk me through it, I'll pay you $10,000, they don't. So, let's see here. And I'm not just saying that. Flat earthers say that.
Confirmed they're assessing it with level and plumb holding true when they do flat earth geometry, Euclidean geometry, not sphere earth geometry.
There you go. So apparently there is some sort of geometry called flat earth geometry, according to Nathan Oakley, who said that. He also said this.
I'm a moron.
Which nobody would ever disagree with.
Now, when you navigate around the flat plane, utilizing the geometry of the flat plane, then you get around without any issue.
So, what is the geometry of the flat plane? I offered $10,000 to flat earthers, Nathan Oakley included, to show the flat earth geometry for celestial navigation. None can do it. And Dick Wayne, here you are, embarrassing yourself, not able to do it. But I can do globe earth geometry to figure out the position using the stars. And you can't. Don't you see how that's embarrassing for you? It's so embarrassing. Anyway, here we go. A little more.
It doesn't match. It doesn't match.
Who's saying that it's a planar angle? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Not stellarium.
No, this is the issue. It doesn't match the globe, right? The globe claims that the 69 mile per degree is a physical, like a real physical effect. We're physically tipping away. It's not an optical effect, it's not an apparent effect, it's a physical effect. We're physically moving, right? Sure. So, okay, well, the star gets occulted by the mountain, and then if the fact that we can connect that observation with a perfect straight line, right, shows that there isn't a physical effect of 69 miles per degree because of globe geometry. It can't be. And the flat Earth prediction is exactly what it's supposed to be, but the globe is significantly different.
Wait, what is the flat Earth prediction? This is what's amazing. Austin can sit there and boldly claim that the flat Earth geometry, the flat Earth prediction works, but never provide the flat Earth prediction. How is it predicted? No flat Earther has ever predicted anything. He's always ready to say that he doesn't have a model. So how can you not have a model and make a flat Earth prediction using the not model that you don't have? Right? He's just talking crap. And his audience is too stupid to realize that he's just making stuff up. They're just like, oh, yay, he talked good.
The default, everyone just always says refraction to everything, so that's all that they say. And you say it's kind of a new thing. Well, it's been months, right? And the globes just keep on trying to find different ways to say somehow it is refraction, but it's not actually optical.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was funny at me to the beginning, because this is when I was answering everybody about we don't look at lights in the sky to figure out the shape of the Earth, and then 2 weeks later, the celestial theodolite comes out, which is looking at lights in the sky to figure out the shape of the ground. So I just kind of dismissed it on its face, and I guess I'll look into it a little bit more. But I guess I still want to go back to what you said, because it still doesn't make sense to me. Why couldn't we just measure in 10-degree segments on the Earth to stay away from this?
Oh, you can.
Run, Austin. Run. This isn't gonna go for you. He's just gonna weasel his way out.
So we would calculate, and that would come out to 24,901.
But you're saying why can't we just avoid the part that falsifies the presupposition that we're on a globe? Because I don't want to, because I'm bringing up that it falsifies the globe. You know, like.
Right, but if there's refraction, that's why we're not taking those angles, because they'll be off. So if we just take the angles that we can see, this, say from 15 to 80 or 90, well, that is sufficient to get us to the shape of the Earth.
But they use empirically derived formulas to correct the stars, so that they use actually.
So, none of this matters. This is all just a diversion. Right? I showed you the table a minute ago. Right? How did they get those numbers? How did they get those numbers? Was it by measuring the angles, measuring a star and then timing it and seeing that, oh, look, at this time, it actually has not gone down linearly anymore, right? It went down linearly most of the time from 90 down to 15 degrees, and now it's not. Okay, fine. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all.
Actual observations with planar geometry to
Euclidean geometry.
To make the corrections with cell nav, which is not the same as like Snell's law, like refraction. They actually have to use planar geometry to try to make these corrections. And you're just. I will say it's somewhat baffling that you're able to just default to
no, not even default
so comfortably now.
No, it's not that it's so comfortable. It's that they have an explanation that has been measured and does show to be the case. I've seen examples of refraction myself. But here's what I want to go back to. If people understand that the latitude that you're at is your angle to Polaris, there is no getting around that. If you measure your angle to Polaris tonight from wherever you're at, it will be your latitude. So if we know then that somebody at 45 is going to see Polaris at 45 degrees and somebody at 35 is going to see it at 35 degrees, then we just need to measure the distance between a person at 35 and 45, and guess what you'll get? 690 miles every single time, because the Earth is a sphere and it works as in a linear fashion like that, or I don't know what you would call that, in a very equal action like that, every 69 miles, 1 degree. And that's how we have the whole Earth is mapped. Now, I want to ask...
it's calculated. It's a calculated presupposition based on the actual astronomical latitude.
How is it a presupposition if it's the measurement of miles?
Yeah, it's not a measurement. You measure one... Okay.
This is quite a mess for him. Quite a mess for him. Let me review. Let's presuppose nothing about the radius, right? We don't know the radius. And let's have two hypotheses, okay? Let's hypothesize that the Earth is a globe. And let's hypothesize that the Earth is flat. Now, as Austin has said, he has described many times his model. His model is the AE map. And when I say that, I don't say that lightly. He's very specific about how he describes his model. His model, he talks about that Polaris is in the center. He says Mount Meru is in the center at the North Pole, and it's where all the magnets point, right? All the compasses point. He says that the angle to Polaris creates a circle, a concentric circle, around the North Pole. What is that? That's this. He says that 60 degrees south is a ring around the Earth. Is a circle. He says it's a circle. So he describes that map while he tries to run away from being held to that model. But that's his model. He doesn't have any other model other than it's flat. That's it, right? That's his only model, is it's flat, that he'll agree to. But then he goes and describes this over and over and over again. So that's his model. So let's hypothesize his model that he has described, that when you measure an angle to Polaris, that creates concentric circles around the North Pole. Now, when you're at, like Jeran was saying, you're at 45 degrees north latitude, and you measure the angle to Polaris. Now, we don't yet know what the radius is. We're not presupposing a radius. We are hypothesizing to flat and hypothesizing globe. And then we measure that angle. We say, 45 degrees. Okay. And then we move move far enough straight south so that the angle to Polaris dropped by 10 degrees. Okay. And how far is that? 690 miles. Okay. So now, for hypothesis globe, we say, okay, well, we did 10 degrees out of 360 degrees. What do we get if we go all 360 degrees? Well, we get the circumference of the Earth at 24,901, I think, miles, or I'm better at kilometers, is 40,000 kilometers, or a radius of 6,371 kilometers, or 3,959 miles, right? Did not presuppose that. We hypothesized Earth globe, and we got radius of the Earth. Okay, now let's hypothesize flat Earth. We go from an angle of 45 degrees and we move straight south until it's 35 degrees. It's dropped by 10 degrees. And how far is it? Well, in reality, it's still the same distance, 690 miles. What does that say about flat Earth? Well, you can do the geometry and you will find out that it doesn't work very well. But you could shoehorn it. But do it again. Go another distance where you get 10 degrees of drop. Now, hypothesis for globe, it's another 690 miles. That's the prediction. And then the observation, 690 miles. So now you're at 25 degrees angle, and you've gone 690 miles twice. Now, according to flat Earth, if you do your first computation from 45 to 35, and then you say, oh, okay, here's the geometry for that. We've got two triangles with the same vertex, or the same opposite side. Okay. Now, when you sit there and you say, okay, well, what should we get using this geometry? When should we drop another 10 degrees? How far should we go? When you do the geometry, the answer is more than 690 miles. A good deal more. Because your relationship is arctan rise over run. That's the relationship. But reality disagrees. We presupposed no radius. We only hypothesized flat and globe. And when we tested globe, it works. When we tested flat, that second stretch, it didn't work. It didn't work. Now what, Austin? Do you, and you can do that for the globe over and over and over again, and it will work. So you've got 100% of the time it works for the globe, and for flat Earth, it never works. What do you do? What do you do, Austin? Do you throw that out? Do you throw out the successful part of it and just ignore that? And for what? You take the part that didn't work. Why would you do that? That doesn't make sense.
We don't throw out 95% of evidence because there's 1 or 2 or 10 outliers that we don't know how to currently explain.
But that's exactly what you do. That's exactly what he does, people. It's what he has to do. Oh, is Dick Wayne being himself here? Let's see. The questions are dumb. The failure to understand something so basic is really dumb. Well, the problem, Dick Wayne, is that there is nothing. You don't have any geometry to support you. I don't know. How can it be that the sun is still pretty high above the horizon? I don't know. Dick Wayne, you're always wrong. Don't you get bothered by being wrong all the time? I don't get it. Like, I would think that at some point you'd be like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be right. So, all right. Let's see. Billy J 36 says Whitsitt mentions every fallacy except shifting the goalposts. This would be too much projection even for him. MCToon's comp of him denying the 24-hour sun prior. Yes, of course. He denies the 24-hour sun existed. I can grab that. You know what? It's my compilation. I have it on my channel. I don't think it's visible. I think it's an unlisted video, but I'll give it to you. You guys can you can have it. Let me grab it here. It was, there it is. Oh, I did make it, public. Here you go. Let's get it going here. All right, here we go.
No, you didn't see the 24-hour sun. You may have saw 24-hour sunlight. I literally am about to have someone on my show that used to work for NASA and was stationed there for those 6 months where around the time you're supposed to be able to see the sun. And he said you only see sunlight. You don't see the sun, which can be explained with coffee cup caustic and many other things. It's a 24-hour sunlight that you see the sun itself that has never actually been proven. It's just a claim you guys regurgitate. Thanks for playing. You guys keep bringing up the 24-hour sun. But actually, that doesn't happen. It's only sunlight, which can easily be explained on a flat Earth. And if it was so easily proven that the
easily explained on flat Earth, yet it's been 6 months to the day we were in Antarctica, and Austin hasn't explained it.
sun is visible for 24 hours, you would just have tons of videos of it. It would be very easy to see it. That doesn't exist. And why would they be fake?
That's another thing that's weird, right? Like, you guys know that flat Earth fully embraces the 24-hour sun in the north. And our entire point is there's an abundance and plethora of that being recorded nonstop, no cuts. You can go personally verify it yourself, no problem.
A plethora. Yet at the time that this was stated, there were more videos in the south than in the north of the 24-hour sun. Still the case today.
And many people have done it. No one's ever been claimed to be stationed there for NASA for 6 months and never seen it. But that has happened in Antarctica. So the 24-hour sun works perfectly on a plain Earth, right? So no, we don't deny that. It's easily verifiable. You can go verify it yourself. That's kind of our whole point, is we want to be able to verify it ourselves. And yeah, we don't buy the clearly edited videos.
Leo is in my chat here saying, "Who's that handsome guy on the top right?" Oh, hold on a second. I got the ranch there in the way, but you know what? That reminds me. I can fix problems using that ranch. Look at that. I fixed a problem.
I am planning to go, and we'll see. I just know that if my position would be, wow,
Oh, hold on. I got another problem to fix here. Hold on. There we go. Fixed.
24-hour sun happens, and that perfectly matches the globe prediction and is not in any way what the flat Earth that we understand it to be would predict. I'd have to reevaluate everything, the entire situation. I'm not going to I would be
He has to reevaluate everything, the entire situation. In 6 months, he's not done that.
retarded to say that as soon as I see it, I'm going to say the Earth's a globe. I'm not. There's a preponderance of evidence that goes against the globe, but I would absolutely reevaluate the entire thing. I wouldn't lie about any of it.
What would be your alternate hypothesis?
I don't know. That's why I would be honest about the whole situation.
He's had 6 months to put together an alternate hypothesis. 6 months, and he's done Dick. Hi, Dick. You're in the chat. Hi, Dick. You've done Dick too.
Said I would immediately step more in the direction of the globe than I've ever been as a possibility and say, okay, I have to reconsider everything. And he 100% did not see the actual sun in the sky for 24 hours. 100%.
For sure.
Doesn't exist.
I have family members who booked a cruise there. They went there and they weren't allowed to get off the boat. It's not like they just let everybody just up on there. It's very dangerous.
No, even if you go, you might see sunlight. You don't see the sun.
Yeah.
You don't actually see the sun for 24 hours. It's just subjective. You can see sunlight in Antarctica.
It's just objective, bro. It's just objective. You don't see the sun for 24 hours, he said. Did you hear him? It's just objective. It's just objective. I can't believe what a dick he is.
But you don't see the sun, and everyone knows it.
Everyone knows it.
There'd be thousands of videos, not like two provably faked videos. You guys are claiming, and it should be, that you see the literal sun in the sky. You should see the actual sun for 24 hours. That doesn't exist. Why does that exist? And if it does exist, why did they put out fake videos? And how come the only ones that exist are fake? I'm saying, I'll tell you what, if you actually go and can't take video of the 24-hour sun, I'll pay for the trip. Okay. Yeah, I would take a deal that you have to sign an actual legally binding contract, because it obviously would go there and you don't see the actual sun, and sunlight and the sun are different. And if it really existed, we'd see all kinds of videos of it.
Wow, what a turd. What a turd. He was so confident. So overconfident.
Again, she told you that the guy that worked for NASA that was stationed in Antarctica said he never saw a 24-hour sun. You just see the sunlight. The only supposed footage of it is provably photoshopped and chopped together. So that's kind of sketchy. We have a million shots of it in the north, none of the south. So yeah, it doesn't exist. Sunlight and sun itself is not the same thing. You did not see the actual sun in the sky for 24 straight hours. If you did prove it, you're the first one ever to have the actual evidence. Just because you're saying it on the internet, we're not going to
Blake Squatch, I think the answer to that question is no.
finally believe you, because we happen to know that it's just 24-hour sunlight. It isn't actually 24-hour sun. And so that's just a cool story.
So I'm just going to call hard BS if this dude's claiming he went to Antarctica and saw the 24-hour sun, when I know people that were stationed there for 6 months and the only footage is chopped up. Now, if he's claiming...
So that guy that went there for 6 months and said he never saw the sun was obviously lying. Obviously lying. He's a flat earther. Has Austin called him out for his obvious lie? No, because Austin doesn't give a damn about people who lie. That's how he does his thing.
Claiming he went to the north and saw a 24-hour sun. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% believe that. We have tons of footage of that. It's verifiable. Tons of people can go do it all the time. We know that happens. Sun can be seen in the sky for 24 hours in the north, which works on a flat earth and makes perfect sense because the sun moves around us in a circle.
Douglas Jenkins says Whitsitt can't get enough money for a divorce, much less pay for his trip. I don't know if there was ever an actual legal marriage. I suspect there was never a legal marriage that happened. So you wouldn't need money for a divorce if there was no marriage that legally happened. You would need, there would be legal issues for custody potentially, but not terminating a marriage that never was legally started. So, and there is no common law marriage in Florida.
So, sorry, I don't know what to tell you. I don't believe you're talking about the South. If you're talking about the North, yeah, of course.
24-hour sunlight happens, but it's not. The sun isn't visible for 24 hours. That doesn't happen. No, that doesn't happen. Okay. But there's light outside. No, you don't see the sun in the sky for 24 hours. That's not what happens. It's light outside. You see the sunlight for 24 hours. You do not see the sun itself for 24 hours.
He was so confident in his in that statement there. He was so confident, and he had no reason to be confident.
Imagine that you're in the cockpit of a commercial airliner.
I don't want to imagine that. Oh my goodness. It auto-played the next one. Okay.
But I'm saying I just think if we measured...
That's the time of like open?
That's the open cross exam time.
Yeah.
That's really short.
30 minutes has been completed.
Schedule number 2. I guess schedule number 2 we'll get some other stuff. Because I had some other things I wanted to show people. But I do think, Austin, one thing that... and maybe I'll find something specific for you. But I think that you need to watch my show. I get it. I do too many live streams. You don't want to watch it. I get it. But it's also... the same thing that every other flat earther's done. So all I see is people running around saying, we don't understand what Jeran's doing. We don't understand. But I've literally done an entire series, an unplugged series of 12 episodes where I went through every single evidence and every single piece and explained it thoroughly. So if people don't understand my position, or why do I just accept refraction? Well, it's because once I saw that the South operates as the globe calls for, and then we saw the sun setting right to left in the South. So that immediately, let me give one example because I think it's my best proof that nobody's been able to, come up with an answer for. And I didn't even know this. I've never heard a glober say it, but everybody who's in the North When you look at a sunrise or sunset, so I'm talking about looking east or west only, not north, not south. We're looking at sunrise or sunset. The sun will rise left to right and it will set left to right in the north for every single person every day of the year, no matter what. End of story. In the south, they see the opposite thing. Okay, so every single sunrise for every single person in the south for every day of the year goes right to left, and every single sunset goes right to left. When we were in Punta Arenas, we saw the sunset severely right to left, way different than we've ever seen before. The sun's never done that to any of us in our lives, because the south is the inverse of the north. Now, get this. This is the paradox of flat Earth. Can an item that's going in one direction be seen by two people looking in the same direction to be?
This is so good. This is absolutely demolishing Whitsitt, and he will have nothing.
Going in opposite directions. And I know it sounds convoluted, but if you have two people in the north and the south both looking west at the same sunset, we're talking about the same sunset, can they see it going in opposite directions if the Earth is flat? How would that be possible, right? So you'd have a sun going around, and you'd have people south and north looking west. The sun's setting, so it would always go to the right. On any flat Earth that there'll ever be, it'll go to the right. But we saw it going to the left. Now, here's the crazy thing. Do you know if somebody on the day that we saw the sunset right to left in Punta, if you were in the north, you saw the sun set left to right. So imagine that. We're in the south watching the sun go left. They're in the north watching the sun go right. That's a paradox on a flat Earth. How could you have two people looking the same direction, have a sun going in two opposite directions? Well, the reason is there is a shape that would call for that to happen. There's a shape that says...
Jeran, do you want me to submit that question to Austin? Austin, do you want to answer that question real quick before we move on to the next segment?
Well, I'm ready to move on. I want to make like a meta point, though, that I feel like everyone wants to say. Since
Notice that? He doesn't want to talk about it. He just wants to make a meta point. That's it. He doesn't want to talk about the topic of the debate.
You kind of got that off. Give me like a 30-second thing, and then we'll move on, whatever. This is the issue.
I'll give you 1 minute.
Okay.
Take a minute.
I want to say this again, okay? It's like, we saw...
Oh, it froze. Why did it freeze? Hold on. It's been doing that lately. So I have to like re-grab I have to change it to something else. And then go back. And then it usually gets it back. But that's okay. Because I got... What? Why is there two? I got two of these. I only need one. There you go. Okay. Hold on. I'm fixing this. You're gonna like the fix. Take that. Okay, there we go. All right. Here it is.
Something we didn't previously have access to.
Ah! It's still frozen. I gotta get the other one. Come on, let me fix it. It's coming.
It requires affirming the consequent. You don't know how it works on the globe. You reified a model. I get all that. It doesn't automatically wash out all the geometric refutations of why flat Earth is a thing in the first place. That is my point. That is my point, though. You would have to then diligently, logically, go provide sufficient rebuttals to all of those geometric refutations, or it doesn't matter what you're still stuck
What happened
with.
if falsification is independent of replacement?
That's my point. That's my point.
He can't. He's like, he totally turned it around on him. Oh, Jeran, masterful there.
Right?
Didn't you say I have to replace those things? So you're saying I have to.
No, so you actually have to address the geometric refutations, not replace anything. You're asking us to replace the globe explanation. Wait, you're asking us to replace the globe explanation, or it must be a globe. That's what you're doing. I'm saying we falsified the globe explanation over here with like 100 things, and then you're just you have selective amnesia.
No, I want you to...
Gentlemen, before I want to jump in real quick because we could go on all night, I'm sure. And some of these things you're talking about are in some of the questions that have been submitted, so you'll get a chance to readdress some of these things. So for the next segment, we'll go 30 minutes here. We'll take questions from the audience. We got quite a few questions coming in, and the questions do seem to be meaty.
But I just want to remind everybody, Austin didn't touch any of Jeran's things. Jeran was going after him on all these things, and Austin's like, no, I just want to talk about this meta. He can't touch it. He can't touch it. What about falsification is independent of replacement? Austin says that all the time, right? All the time. But he won't talk about it. He won't, address the topic of that the sun doing what we saw the sun do in Antarctica is a falsification of flat Earth. right? Because this is flat Earth. Austin, this is what he has described. And if he's like, oh, well, no, that's not my model. Okay, well, what model is it? Because every single other model that's ever been presented also doesn't work with the sun that we saw in Antarctica and nominal other things that we've seen, right? If you reverse and you do if you do an AE map with the South Pole at the center, well, then the 24-hour sun in the north doesn't work. If you do a bipolar map where you've got the North Pole at the top of the map and the South Pole at the bottom of the map, then when Jeran was talking about, well, when you see the sunset right to left versus left to right in different parts of the world, that doesn't work on that map, right? All you need is typically two things that we see that don't work together with any flat Earth map. But Austin hasn't presented some other map. He doesn't have anything. It's a nothing on top of nothing, and so it has been falsified because the sun sets too, right? If it doesn't matter, just it's whatever it is, it's flat, right? If the sun is up here, never can this get in the way, never. Because there's just flat there. And it's not, oh, it's too far away to see. That's not what's happening. If it's too far away to see, then the sun would fade out. Above the horizon. Above the horizon, it would fade out, but that's not what we see. We see it get blocked by the horizon. So it's not because it's too far away. Right? And flat earthers can't, right? They lack the geometric ability to figure this out, this simple thing out. It's baffling that people are this bad at geometry. It's so weird. Like, it's too far away. But that we don't see it get too far away and fade into nothingness because the light can't get that far. We never see that. All right.
I think you guys are gonna, have a chance to really dig in with each of these. The majority, I just got to warn you, the majority of the questions are for Jeran. So what I would like to do is I would like to give each person 2 minutes to address the question. And if it's a question for both of you, then I'll allow each of you one rebuttal for 1 minute after you hear your interlocutor's answer to the question. Are you guys cool with that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, Jeran, you want to go full screen?
Yeah, I can do that.
Looks a little better.
So Austin, just to be clear, you will get a chance to address the questions that are for Jeran as well. So you will get 2 minutes.
Cool.
Yeah, but whoever the question is addressed to will speak first.
Okay.
All right, guys. So we have Charles is asking, Jeran, how does an observation of the sky change what the floor is?
Okay, because it's something called a measuring stick, right? So just like you can use a ruler, why can we use a ruler to go measure things? Because it's a standard. Every ruler is the same, and so we can use it as a measuring stick. The sun is the biggest and most accurate measuring stick that the world has ever known. It's the most important thing that there ever was, and it is a measuring stick because it moves in very predictable 24-hour fashions. We know exactly where it will be in 400 years, 4,000 years, 40,000 years. We know exactly where it was 2,000 years ago. So that's because the sun works as a measuring stick. So once somebody gives you a map and tells you you live here, the very first thing you should do is see if it jives with the known measuring stick. Because if it doesn't, then guess what? The map is wrong, period. There's no instance of ever a measuring stick being wrong when it's actually the measuring stick, right? So you can never have, oh, this measuring is wrong because this ruler is wrong. Well, then the ruler's not a measuring stick if it's wrong. Just like the sun, it wouldn't be a measuring device if it was wrong. It's perfect. That's why we use it for calendars, for dates, for time, everything, time, you name it. The sun is used for that. So if you can observe something that is not possible on the map somebody gives you, then you can immediately hand them the map back and say, you're wrong, I don't live here. Well, guess what? That's what the A map has had happen. Now I get Austin's point. He's saying he doesn't believe in an A map, but then then you don't believe in anything, then the earth doesn't have a shape or a look. Can you give me any idea what the world looks like? Because if you're going to tell me it's a flat earth, then it has to be flat. And I know that the only flat map that can exist is the A map. Now you can disagree with that all you want. I spent 6 months trying to figure it out, and then I got to the point where I said, oh, because the A map because a flat map has to have the continents laid out correctly, has to have the tropics and the equator, therefore the only map that will ever be flat is the A map. Now you could say I think Austin said there's a bipolar model that completely destroys all observations. Again, if you have a bipolar model, the sun would be coming up the other side, so it would be rising in the west to people in Russia and Africa. It doesn't make any sense. That's why you've never heard it pushed, because this is why there's no other map pushed. Have you ever wondered why there's no other flat earth map?
Thank you, Jeran.
Let me know when the 2 minutes are up. Listen. Or give me a 10, 20
I try to give you a little bit of grace period after so that we're not too strict. Austin, you have 2 minutes. The question is, how does an observation of the sky change where the floor is?
Yeah. So it's independent of physical measurements of the surface. It is. But my approach is that you don't just like turn your head to things. Like, right. So I'm all for like trying to understand it, right? Because again, actually seeing the
Yet all he's doing is turning his head to things. That's exactly what he does over and over and over again.
occultation of that star, well, that's actually technically in the sky. Now differences. We're using a physical measurement of the surface there. Right. So we have a linear baseline, a specific angle that creates a straight line from observer to mountain peak to star. And there's an occultation. It's physical. And then hopefully there'll be a question about cell nav in here where I can hopefully explain and correct exactly the issue with the globe there. But I will just say, to answer the question more directly, it's like, actually it doesn't. You don't prove the surface of the Earth strictly by making a singular celestial observation or any celestial observation for that matter. It requires a lot of presuppositions. And just frankly, may not be the answer people want to hear. It is just.
So he talks about presuppositions, right? None of the things that he's saying are presuppositions. We've measured the distance to the sun. We've measured the distance to the stars. We've measured the distance to the moon. We've measured the radius of the Earth and all these things have been done in multiple ways. So these aren't presuppositions. Not liking them or not accepting them or being ignorant of them doesn't make them a presupposition either. Now, who uses a presupposition? Austin uses a presupposition. He presupposes that the ether exists, and he's going to talk about that in a little bit. And I just want to prep this, his ether stuff, as with this.
Ether's not science.
And this.
Ether is an immaterial background medium of pure potential. It cannot be quantified or measured intrinsically.
So there is Austin admitting that the ether cannot be. It's not science, and it cannot be quantified or measured. So anytime that he brings up the ether, he is presupposing the ether because he admits that there's no way to empirically confirm it. Imagine that. Just prepping you.
Just affirming the consequence. To say the 24-hour sun in Antarctica proves the globe requires a logical fallacy. They like literally requires it, and then shifting the burden of field incredulity, et cetera. So. That's the issue with it. The reason that it doesn't prove what the ground is because it requires affirming the consequence and presupposing what you're seeing the sky from in the first place.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So another question is a nice follow-up to what you guys were just discussing here. Anonymous is asking, is cartography real? Why does every map of a large area require distortion?
Oh my goodness. This is a good one.
Yeah, for
both of you. This is for both of you. So Jeran, you can go first.
Well, obviously, because the Earth is a sphere, and so no matter what map you ever make, will always have issues. Because a sphere has a certain amount of surface area, and a flat piece of paper will always have more, and so you're always going to have distortions.
Okay, Austin?
I'm trying to get it to where we're both on the big screen we answer, but yeah, because it's simply a projection. You're trying to fit a projection. You're trying to fit measurements, typically using the sky, and then put it on a projection. So it's always going to have distortion, and just depends on how you move it around. The bipolar model.
And there is another exercise of the first law of Flurf. The fact that every flat map requires it to be a projection is an admission that the Earth is not flat. Because a flat map of a flat surface would have no distortions. That's how stupid flat Earth is. When we say, where's your map? You're like, we don't have a map. It's dumb. It's so dumb. Because why would you not have a map of the flatness? Because you don't have to do any distorting. So this is a map of the globe. It's a globe-shaped map of the globe. And it has no distortions. No distortions on here. Land mass sizes are correct to the precision of the manufacturing of this globe, right? And no, it doesn't say anything on the bottom like flat earthers tend to think it says. So, a flat map. I can't stress this enough that Austin has just admitted that the Earth is not flat. He's just admitted that. It's so funny.
model. Ironically, it's like exactly the same as the globe. You can move it around 5-10 degrees, whatever direction. It is literally just a distribution with a projection, right? It's just a projection, and you use a fictitious observer for a central point. So the answer.
This fictitious observer thing I've never heard before, but he uses it multiple times. There is no observer in the AE map or the globe. Where's the observer? Nowhere. There's no observer. I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Is like, yeah, there's always distortion because they are just projections. They're inherently flawed, right? Like none of them are actual realities.
When you say fictitious observer, do you mean that they take the person to be at the center of the Earth?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, but that is the same angle that you'd be on the surface. It's the same angle.
Yeah, but you're just like admitting that, yeah, you just have to presuppose the idea of some fictitious observer in the center of a globe.
You don't have to. It could be on the surface. It'd be the same angle. You're just taking that and saying that it means something, but it doesn't mean anything because it's the same angle.
Well, if you actually utilize that method and then take the distances, then everything's 3,959 miles away from you in the sky.
Right. No, I'm saying that if you're talking about the angle.
So all right. I don't know if I heard that right. I want to hear, let's see, if I jump back, it jumps back to more than a minute. I want to hear what he just said there. 1918. Okay.
Same angle. You're just taking that and saying that it means something, but it doesn't mean anything because it's the same angle.
All right, I'm going to slow it down to normal speed. I want to know what he says here. Did he?
If you actually utilize that method and then take the distances, then everything's 3,959 miles away from you in the sky.
Everything's 3,959 miles away from you in the sky. He just said that. The second time I heard him say that, I didn't think that I heard him say that, but that's what he just said. What the hell is he talking about? Everything is 3,959 miles away from you in the sky if you do.
Right. No, I'm saying that if you're talking about the angle from the fictitious observer to the celestial sphere is the same regardless of if you're at the middle or on the surface. Because the line would go through that person on the surface, right?
Yeah, but to know where you allegedly would be on the surface to get that angle, you have to actually have the sphere, thus the center of it, to go get that angle in the first place. You would say, yeah, if you do have the sphere, you assume the fictitious observer in the center, then you're on the surface, it's the same. Yeah, because the angle has to still come out from the center to actually claim that that's what the angle is in relation to. It requires a fictitious observer in the center. Right.
So I guess where I'm getting confused, I just want to go back to where when we keep talking about, you're saying it's an affirming the consequent. Where I get confused, isn't that just a wording thing? So if we say, if the Earth is a sphere of 3,959 in circumference, then the horizon can be no more than blah, 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 when we just leave out refraction from that equation. But let's just leave the equation alone. So can't I word then my supposition the same way? So can I say, if the Earth is flat and the sun goes around in a circle, in a clockwise circle, then there can be no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. There is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, so the Earth is not flat.
So this is exactly the same wording as they do with the Black Swan. And Austin should, if he were honest, but he's not, should say, oh yeah, that is the same structure. It can be used.
What's wrong with, I just worded it exactly like your Black Swan. Why is that not okay?
I didn't even hear exactly how you said it.
Okay, so
he wasn't listening, except he was looking right up. Oh my gosh.
The Black Swan is, if the Earth is a sphere of 3,959 miles, so that's the presupposition, you have to make that assumption. Okay, if the Earth's a sphere and if it's 3,959, then the horizon can only be this distance based on this math. We go out and observe and it's actually not that, therefore we've now falsified the globe. Okay, so if we change that to now, if the Earth is flat and it has a sun that goes around in 24 hours in a clockwise motion, then the south cannot have a sun that circles the opposite direction. And if it does, we go out and observe, guess what? We went and saw that it does do that, therefore the flat Earth has been falsified. What's different about my claim than the flat Earth?
Because you're just like claiming there's like no apparent sun, and then straw manning putting the argument or putting the claim on it. You're doing the
same thing with refraction.
No.
Nothing here says nothing.
The globe model is just claimed. There's just a definitive geometric claim.
There's a definitive geometric claim of flat Earth. The definitive geometric claim of flat Earth is that the sun is above flat Earth. And so take the position of the sun, which is always above a certain point, and on the equinoxes and on the solstices, they're at specific locations, and everywhere in between, we know where they are, in fact, as well. So we know where the what it's above at any point in time. And so it's above, coming up here in a couple days, it's above the Tropic of Cancer. All day it goes, it's above the Tropic of Cancer. So we know that. And so if the Earth is flat, and it doesn't matter if it's this map or any other map, there's still a Tropic of Cancer on that map. There has to be, because in reality there is. So now you take that Tropic of Cancer, you say, okay, now there's what the sun. There's a very specific geometric claim about that the flat Earth makes. Any map you use, you can invent, you can imagine, you can put together any map you want. There still is a Tropic of Cancer. It's still above the same things that it is on the globe. None of that can change. These are not optional. And so you've got that. Now, there's a very specific geometric claim. You apply that claim and you go test it. All right, and you find, that flat Earth map doesn't work. Well, let's try a different one. That one doesn't work. Let's try a different one. That one doesn't work. Right? You go test them all. Every single flat Earth map that's ever been imagined by any flat earther ever can be tested very quickly to find if it works for Antarctica in December or not. A couple do. In fact, there's only one. Well, there's two. How about this? There's the AE map centered at the South Pole, and there is the bipolar map. Okay, but like I said, one other test and it fails. So, but he's running from it.
There's a physical geometric horizon. So, like,
what do you think? So what's not claimed in a flat Earth? Do we claim that the sun goes around? Yes.
Well,
so we've had an additional 2 minutes back and forth on top of each other's answers.
Let's finish that one though. I want to finish that because this has bothered me the whole time. Is that I don't understand how Nathan Oakley goes around telling people.
Let me give you guys 3 minutes, and I'm going to pause the timer. Okay.
All right. Let's look at some other maps from flat earthers and see if it works. All right. Does this work with what we saw in Antarctica? Right. We were down here. You can't see that. Why can't you see that? Why am I? That's weird. That it's coming in differently. Okay. Hold on. It's because I'm doing it different. That's nuts. Okay. Just a second. There we go. Okay. Now you can see my cursor. Okay. So we were down in this area, and the sun. On this map, the sun followed the Tropic of Cancer. It went this way, right to left. Right? Well, we did see the sun go right to left, but then we saw it go south of us. Well, oh no, there's crap. Oh crap, that didn't work. Because at part of the day we saw the sun over here. That didn't work. That doesn't work. Okay, that map's a failure. So that doesn't work. What about this one here? So this is one of the bipolar maps. This is one. This is off of. This is from a guy on the Flat Earth Society called Sandokan. There you go. So here's Antarctica down here. We were down here somewhere, and we saw the sun doing this. Well, no, that doesn't work on this map either. Very well, does it? Now there's another one I'll bring up that might do a little better. Let's see. Here's the thing. You go through history of flat Earth. This is from 1901, right? Somebody making it hyper biblical. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Somehow that suggests this map. Well, this is the AE map. This is a Gleason map. There's no difference here, right? Okay, that's 1901. Okay. Well, this one, I don't know. That one's pretty close. That's probably their best one yet. Right, here's another one. Oh, that doesn't work. That didn't work, did it? How about this one? Well, there's no land masses on this one, but it's the North Pole in the middle. Well, same one. You've got the AE map. You've got this guy here. Oh, hold on. this one here. This is the AE map. But if you look at the bottom corner, that's a scale. That's scale. Okay, here is the bipolar map. This again is somewhat popular on the Flat Earth Society website. So the Tropic of Capricorn is, so here's the equator, right? The Tropic of Capricorn is down here. So this one suggests, this is crazy. This one suggests that for half the year, you know, the sun will circle clockwise up here in the north. And then on the equinox, the sun will come and then it will cross the equator on the equinox and then start circling this way for 6 months. And so, yes, this does have the sun doing right to left circles around us while we are in Antarctica. It does. But does it work for the north? No, of course not. Because if you're up here on the north, it's always south of you. It's way down here, right? You're always looking south some direction to the sun. It doesn't work. It never gets close to you. It's weird, and it would move the wrong direction, right? This doesn't work at all. But this is the one that Austin is right now the most willing to accept. This one right here. Peter Markley says that bipolar map is an AE map centered on the equator. This is yeah, it probably is. That probably is. Oh, nice. Anyway, hey, if you saw the thumbnail, that was generated by Peter Markley's wife. So thank you very much to her for that. And again, it's got distortions. So let's see here. We've got this one here, which is a polar projection. It's the AE map. It's the Gleason map. Antonio Subratz, may he burn in hell. This is his map, which is the AE map. Here's another one. Oh, look, it's the AE map. North Pole in the middle. What are you doing, Flatties? It's all the same. That's all you have. Every single map that you do not every single one. Almost every single map that you do is the AE map. There's another one. It's got some mythical stuff. The Scorched Wastes. The Walls of Asgard. The Titanic Forest. The Frozen Wastes. Right? This one's just fantasy. This one's called biblical. But look what's in the middle. It's the AE map. Flat Earthers, you've got nothing. You got here you go. Oh no, here's one. I called this one the biggest map of derpiness. This is the one that Dearth likes to show. But look right here in the middle. What is this? What is it? It's the AE map. It's right there. This right in the middle here. This is the AE map. And then they've just got other maps around it. Here's 1917. Look at that. It's an AE map. You guys, I have it doesn't it never like, what are you gonna do, Flatties? This is from Dearth. Here's Dearth's map. Oh no, it's the AE map, Dearth. Here's another one. Oh look, it's got the North Pole in the middle. It's the AE map. And what do you... Oh my gosh. There's let's see what else we got. Anything else? Oh yeah, here's from Gilbert Johnson. I think I put that up already. Let's see. I got a whole bunch of Gleason, because of course that's the most common one. Let's see, 1930 from... Oh, I think I showed that one already. Henry J. Gaudi's 1930. Guess what? And then here's a zoom in on Hyperborea. Oh, look in the middle. You know, the place that doesn't exist. It's just ice. So, and then you get to the real comedy. This is the real comedy right here. This is the face of insanity. If you say this map, then you are legally insane. Seriously. You lack a brain. If this is what you think is the map, then no. Then you are not a sane person. So, all right. Let me clear out a few of those. I mean, I just want Flatties to know, like, you come up with a different map, we can test it, but you know what? You know what's going to happen. When we test it, it won't work. It won't work. And the reason why is because the Earth is a globe. That's why. All right. And let me, you know what? I don't want to get too far behind on reading some feedback from you guys. So let's see here. We got King Ed V says, has any flare ever shown he knows what refraction is? On occasion they do, but generally no. Right? They like to talk about, and Austin will say it a little bit here. He'll talk about it needing to go between different mediums in order for refraction to happen. Yet somehow the Black Swan has something making those cranes bendy. What is it? If he says it's not refraction, then you need to explain to us what's causing the crane arm to be so bendy. So no flat earther that I know of has ever really understood refraction well enough. Earthly Skeptic says apparent sunset is predictably about 2 minutes after real. Yes, well, it does depend on the angle it's going down. If you're on the equator on the equinox, it's going down very vertical, and so it's a minimum amount of time there. If you're at northern or far southern latitudes and the sun is over the Tropic of Cancer or Tropic of Capricorn, the opposite one where you are, then it's moving very much horizontally or laterally, right? Nearly horizontal. And so the amount of time from when it first touches the horizon until it last touches the horizon is longer. So, but I suppose he just said 2 minutes after real. So that's when it first goes out of sight is when you'd say that. So yeah, that's about the same, isn't it? I don't know. Earthly Skeptic says celestial theodolite uses stellarium to measure angle from hill, but not for the angle from ground. Did they compare ground angle measurements with its stellarium prediction? No, there's likely a difference. Yes, so there's a few things that they did in there. They do agree that the angular elevation of the mountain, just the mountain, matches the globe, not flat Earth. So first law of Flerf, right? If you're looking at a mountain far away, if the Earth is flat, then the relationship, the angle must be arctan of rise over run. Right? SOHCAHTOA, tangent opposite over adjacent, right? Opposite is rise, and adjacent is run. Rise over run. That's what it has to be for flat Earth. Or you have it drop by 1 angular degree for every 69 miles. That's the globe. There's your two choices. Which does it match? It matches the globe. So then they take stellarium and they look at the position of the star and they look at the GP of the star using stellarium, right? And its position, and they're like, oh, well, here's the timing that it should be occulted. And let's pretend that refraction doesn't exist because reasons. There you go. I'm going to get Jesse back on to to talk about it and go over in more detail how they do it and the geometry that they do. So it'll be a bit more techy and technical and math heavy. So if you know, when that comes, I just know that if you're into that, get excited. And if you're not, then I don't know, maybe that's not the one to watch, right? And I won't feel bad if you're like, not into that. That's okay. It's all good. I still love you. Michael Gaylord says Toon Oakley was literally crying and begging for money on his chat to go on other shows and get flat smacked. I'll absolutely pick up the tab to watch. Oakley was crying and begging for money on his chat to go on other shows and get flat smacked. Like he was asking to find people to pay him to come on other shows. No. It's a bad precedent to pay him to come on another show. Here's what he can do. He can live stream to his channel when he's on another channel. It will be one of his most viewed videos. He'll get super chats during that video. He will earn money doing it. We don't need to do that. Nobody else needs to pay him. He will get money doing it from his own channel. He's built up his own platform, and he will have people watching it and will send him super chats while that happens. I know that'll happen. I know it will be one of his most financially successful live streams that he's done if he live streams himself going on somebody else's channel. That's how he should get paid for that. The fact that he's demanding to get paid is a what we call a coward's debate defense. And I have it on my website. Right here. Coward's live debate defense. And right now, here it is. Number 6, pay me. Why would anyone pay you to participate? Are you able to demand money for appearances on this topic? Did you accomplish something giving you major notoriety, or are you a small fish in a smaller pond? The coward knows there's no value in paying them, so nobody would pay them. Easy escape. There it is. So, and now of course he's desperate. Yeah, he is desperate. He needs that money. And like I said, if Nathan Oakley were actually willing to debate somebody else on a separate platform, I wouldn't do it on mine. I would have somebody else be the moderator and the host, but I would still live stream on my channel, right? And he can still live stream on his channel. But why here we've got in the chat right now, we've got Dick Wayne. Well, what did Dick Wayne say here? That yeah, it's okay. I wouldn't think that he needs to be blocked for that. There. So, well, what is Dick Wayne's defense? Right. So, Dick Wayne, how about you come on here and debate me live? Since you've been doing this longer than me, you must know better than I do. You will certainly be able to destroy me, right? You certainly must think that, because here you are saying things in the live chat as if you know better than me, right? So what would it be? Which one of these are you going to choose? Which one? Which is your is it 11 here? Is it number 11, Dick Wayne? I don't know. I'll drop this in one more time. Dick, you just let us know which one of those is your coward defense. So, and it done froze again. It done froze again. I don't know why. There we go. Okay, let's get it. Let's keep going here, because I got a presentation to do here in a little bit on something.
Thank you. So I just want to know why it's not the same. So in that sentence, if the Earth is a sphere, 3959, then the horizon can be no further. Okay, great. But what they're not mentioning there is that there's refraction that causes things to be higher up. So when we do go observe, if we do see it a little higher up, that doesn't falsify the globe. It means refraction is there. Now, I'm just saying it doesn't mean that that's a fact. It means if that's the claim by the globe, then we have to at least look into it, not just dismiss it. But when I try and put that into a flat Earth saying, now all of a sudden it's not allowed. I can't say if the Earth is flat then and has a sun circling 24 hours in a clockwise formation. Those two things are part of the flat Earth model. So it's the same thing as saying if the Earth is a sphere 3959. Then they say, then the horizon can be no more than, well, then the sun cannot do backward circles in the south. It doesn't go along with our premise at the beginning of this. We went and observed it does do backward circles in the south, so therefore the Earth cannot be flat. So I agree. I would actually agree that that is not a correct statement, but I'm actually trying to point out more that the flat Earth statement is incorrect. That you can't just, because they didn't even take refraction into account. I don't understand how you go around telling other people that they are using and affirming the consequent when that's what the flat Earth is doing. They're saying, oh, well, we don't see curvature, therefore the Earth's flat. Hey, we don't see water bend, therefore the Earth's flat. You are the ones doing that. That's, so I don't understand where there's this, globe Earth is doing that, but the flat Earth, we just say that the Earth's not a globe. And no, you're going around making claims, and those claims are, not holding up when you actually, like, water doesn't bend. What? Water does bend. It's probably the most bendable substance that there is. Go pour it on your body. Does it bend around you? All right, go ahead.
Austin, what's your response here?
Okay, yeah, this is an argument from ignorance. So it's like X is true because you cannot prove that X is false. There's the assumption of a conclusion, like because of the lack of evidence to the contrary, right? And that's an argument from ignorance. But it's very specific. For one, I want to say this. You're saying, like, you didn't even account for refraction. You keep saying that. Like, okay, no, just because someone said a word because they needed to say that something is not where it's supposed to be doesn't mean that it's real. What type of refraction? Terrestrial refraction? How does that work? All of a sudden, when they change what refraction is and apply it to something that isn't even analogous, and take the actual physical horizon and say something's looming whenever the horizon's looming, when looming is a relation to the horizon, right? They just say.
So all this stuff here, this isn't taking into account refraction. This is him parroting Oakley and quantum erasers' incorrect understanding of refraction.
The word refraction because the horizon wasn't where it's supposed to be. So when we say, yo, here's a physical geometric limitation based on the assumption that the Earth's a globe, the evidence doesn't match that. That's like a very rigid, specific geometric physical claim that comes from the globe. We tested it. It's false.
It's a very rigid, specific claim that you must take refraction into account, but he doesn't. But Austin agrees with me on this one. He definitely does.
Refraction always happens. That's why it's important.
Yeah.
I'm claiming that you haven't even actually accounted for all the variables, and you're touting your trigonometry that literally hand waves dismiss one of the most important variables when it comes to perception, which is refraction.
And he didn't take it into account. That's the thing about the black swan, is they never take refraction into account. They pretend there's none.
And never in your dissecting of the observations do you even account for refraction that we know for a fact to be present.
It's falsified, and just saying the word refraction doesn't work, right?
Just saying the word falsified when you haven't taken into the account that what their explanation is.
That's the point. We did take it into account, and we actually have to ask them to even specify it. And when you actually get into the quote unquote expert that they cite, he actually uses planar geometry and then
Euclidean geometry.
And he doesn't actually apply Snell's law. It's a singular medium differential. And then people on the internet totally exclude that part, and they just act like, oh, we know this works because it's refraction, and they claim it's looming when looming is in relation to the actual horizon. So and it's a category error, and they just reify the R value, right? And then they just expand it. Everything in question.
Oh yeah, hold on. I gotta get his fallacy list up. Jeez, so many. Do I have category error on there? Nope. There we go. Category error. There you go. And why? So these are this is the list. I don't know. This is weird. Oh, it isn't putting this gap in here, right? See, the 11 isn't as wide as the 10. I'm not liking that. Mac, Who wrote that crap there? There you go. That's better. All right. Oh, and it didn't update. What? It didn't even update. I was messing with it, and it didn't update. So, all right. Let's get back to text. It's like I have to babysit these things. There we go.
I think that when you're talking about that particular issue, it's funny that Bo says he went out there and that was one observation of 6 months. So what Flat Earth seems to have done is gone out and waited until there was enough refraction that the back water was way up higher and it looks like the horizon is super far away. And so then we took that observation and said we'd refuted the globe, which is insane because you just got done saying that we don't take one observation and we don't say from that we destroyed something. We don't take the one observation of the sun and say that we proved the globe, but you will take the one observation of the 1 out of 180 days of a higher horizon and then say that falsifies the globe.
Dude, this is super important that you're not understanding the difference here. The globe model makes a very specific claim that, if the Earth, this is what the black swan has, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3,959 miles, then the horizon is a physical geometric edge. Physical obstruction, physical geometric horizon is at 1.225 times the square root of the observer site in feet. That is the globe's claim. They made a positive, definitive,
mathematical,
specific claim. It's a very specific, it's a mathematical claim about a very real physical thing.
And our claim includes that you must account for refraction, which you don't do. So if you're going to say it's our claim, you need to take our whole claim, not just part of it.
It's a physical location.
Don't ever work that way.
This is the point. The globe makes that very specific claim. You're over here, then you say, well, flat Earth can't be true because if we assume that the sun's in an actual position and then I tell you what the map should be, then the sun shouldn't do this. That's not the same thing at all. There's a geometric refutation on the table because of a positive claim. It's physical, and refraction doesn't work for the black swan, by the way. But you keep saying the word. I explained why, because you actually have to assume.
Okay, it keeps freezing. It constantly freezes. This is something happening on my computer. I don't know why. Why is that? Why is it not? Why is it constantly freezing and I don't know. Like, I only get a few seconds, right? So here's the current one. Let's time it.
Assume the R value, and then it's a category error. You just extend it out infinitely because they say that it's looming. Looming is an effect in relation to the horizon.
Yeah, but you're just using words, though. Well, is refraction real?
We don't. So looming isn't just a relation to the horizon, right? First of all, but it's not just looming. What's happening is refraction is causing everything to appear mangled. Some higher, some much higher, potentially some lower, but generally you have things that are appearing higher, and some are appearing more shifted up than others.
Dude, you just hit me with I'm just using words, bro.
Well, you just used words, a bunch of words that don't
make
word salad.
Was that word salad?
I didn't want to say word salad. I didn't bring the little Hidden Valley Ranch.
Come on, man.
With your face on. No, I mean.
All right, guys.
I did bring the Hidden Valley Ranch with his face on it. Maybe this is what messes it up.
Sorry, we've spent a lot of time on this one.
Hey, go ahead.
We got quite a few questions here. The audience are thoroughly enjoying this. The questions are really rolling in here. This one is for Austin. Austin, what is NavCell and how does it apply?
What is NavCell? It's CellNav. Like Austin begged somebody in the audience to ask this, but but the person in the audience who asked didn't even know how to ask the question because doesn't even understand the word CellNav and not NavCell.
Oh, so like dyslexic question. CellNav.
NavCell, NavCell.
Okay, well, I'm saying like CellNav, like celestial navigation, right? So this is like a super important part, right? When we're talking about how I was explaining how that they always say 1 degree per 69 miles, they act like it's proof the Earth's a globe. We can go out there. We know how to navigate perfectly because we can just assume we know the Earth's a globe. So it's curving at a certain rate. So as I go across the surface, I'm tipping at a specific angle at a certain rate. So the stars are going to change based on that angle. 1 mile or 1 degree per 69 miles. That actually isn't true. It doesn't work like that. It regularly needs corrections. And they tell you can't even utilize the angles like all the way up to like roughly like 15 degrees.
I already showed you that. Let me show you this here. Let me get the Hubris Valley Ranch out of the way. Here's a little infographic here. There's too much missing for the water to be flat on this left one here, top left one. On the right side, there's too much showing for a globe the size of Earth. Oh. Either way, light must be bending. Which looks more bent to you? It's a great question. Great question. Let's see here. Here's another one. The globe model predicts that refraction will cause us to see farther, because as the light refracts downward, it'll follow the curve. The flat model predicts that refraction will make objects appear to sink into the ground because the light is bending downward. It doesn't make sense, but that's what they think because they don't actually understand refraction. Atmospheric refraction can be identified by the distortion it causes to things we see through it. So if the Earth is flat, we should see the sunken oil rig showing distortion. If the Earth is round, we should see the raised oil rig showing distortion. And which one shows distortion? This bottom one here is minimized refraction. The top one is maximized refraction. Uh-oh. And when Austin says that you can't have refraction through air because it's a single medium, he doesn't. How does this crane get so bendy? How does that happen? But now this is the one. So the bottom one there is the one that is what you normally see according to the guy that took the video. So, but let me look. There's one. I did a bit of analysis on this. Okay, I think this is it. There's that. There's that. There we go. Here is from the guy. This is clips from the video. It's right there. This is from the guy that did the Black Swan video. This is from his video. What's causing them to be blocked? What is that obstruction? Because he zooms in and it doesn't unobstruct when he zooms in. And then he puts this actually right there on the video. Once in a while, not very often, there will be days where conditions are right to see the full image. Really? And then he zooms in. Once in a while. Now, remember what Austin said.
We don't throw out 95% of evidence because there's 1 or 2 or 10 outliers that we don't know how to currently explain.
Oh, really? You don't say. But do we see the full image? Is anything missing? So on the right, we've got Getty images of that platform. You see that? You see that bottom part there? There's underneath the platform. There's a large gap, and then there's a line and a smaller gap under that line. You see that? But look on the left. We don't see that bottom section. The horizon is in front of that oil rig. What is it? What is causing the oil rig to be obstructed bottom up, Flatties? You got nothing. You can't say it's refraction now because you pretend refraction doesn't even exist. Uh-oh, the bottom section below the walkway is obstructed by the horizon. Oh my goodness. So you've got a multiple choice here. You've got A, no refraction. B, oh yeah, I got to show you this though. This is the intro to it. This is from when Austin says their guy, the refraction guy. This is the distance to the horizon. by Andrew Thomas Young. And let's listen to Quantum Eraser give his credentials here.
The subject matter expert, Andrew Thomas Young, our favorite guy.
There it is. So that's Andrew Thomas Young's website. And we see right here this formula, the no refraction. This is the no refraction formula, or about 1.23 or 1.22 times the square root of the eye height in feet. You see the highlighted section at the bottom there? That is from his website, the no refraction description. Okay. And now we have the refraction considered simply portion. And so we've got the formula that he puts in here as an approximation. I think he puts in a 1.32. There it is. I didn't underline it, but see on the diagram where there's the letter C? Immediately below that, it says, or about 1.32 times the square root of the height in feet. There you go. There's refraction considered simply. Well, what about the next section? Well, that video, let me show you. Right here, you see refraction considered simply at the top. At the very bottom, we see variable gradients. And here we see that variable gradient portion of the website. Unfortunately, the refraction varies considerably from day to day and from place to place, particularly over water. Because of the high heat capacity of water, the air is nearly always a different temperature from that of the water. So there's a thermal boundary layer in which the temperature gradient is far from uniform. And that's why we see bendy cranes. Bendy cranes. What's Wolverine here? Yeah, Wolverine, I don't know why you have to ask that. I also don't know why he needed to be blocked for that. Anyway, you can read that on your own there, or you can go to Andrew Thomas Young's website. But here's the final one. You can see at the bottom there, it says nasty complications. Well, here's the section on nasty complications, and I won't read it. I'll just let you know that it talks about ducting and all sorts of things happening when you have nasty complications, where there's a dramatically varying levels of temperature and index of refraction over the water. So then the final picture here, right here, we've got multiple choice. On the left, we've got A, no refraction, B, refraction simple, C, variable gradients, or D, nasty complications. What do you choose for the left picture? On the right side, we've got A, no refraction, B, refraction simple, C, variable gradients, and D, nasty complications. Which one do you see on the right side? I choose, for the left side, D, and for the right side, B, refraction considered simply. There you go. So, all of Austin's word salad is, it's just word salad, isn't it? It's all he's got. It's all he's got.
And then around even the 9 degrees, there should be no refraction looking straight up, right?
There is no refraction looking straight up. I don't know where he's getting this saying where you can't use straight up, this nonsense.
But if there's actually curved visual space, we expect that. So then how do they correct it, right? So so if you say do they just use an apparent raw angle or the celestial refraction corrected angle? And they're using the corrected angle, right? You're claiming that it's refraction. That's somehow what's going to fix it. So then is it a solution? Do we actually use certain variables for a refraction equation and that's how we fix it? No, they actually use empirically derived solution, meaning the answer is empirically derived.
I know he's said this before, and there's nothing wrong with doing this.
Actually use different formulas for every angle band. Right, every segment of the angles. So the input is just height and or angles. There's no temperature, there's no pressure at all in those corrections. So it proves it has nothing to do with refraction. It's actually an empirical.
It doesn't prove that it has nothing to do with refraction. Right now, whether or not the tables were computed in by just measuring the variation in the elevation of the star as it gets closer to the horizon, or if it was done by computing Snell's law, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how those tables were generated.
Physical correction, right? Normal refraction has temperature and pressure. Celestial refraction does not. So that's a big problem, right? I mean, how
not
does
at
that
all.
work?
Not at all.
And the answer is the way that it works. It's just because it needs to work. It just has to work. So that's what's so frustrating about it.
And here's all of this is just a distraction. Because if the Earth were flat, you would provide how the geometry works for flat Earth, and he's not able to do that. This is just trying to never talk about flat Earth.
Is that is brought up as if direct evidence for the globe. That's like it's terrible for the globe. Doesn't work at all. They claim refraction, but don't actually use refraction equations or variables. They don't even use like temperature and pressure. They're not even claiming like.
And of course, the reason why the tables don't include that is because you don't know those ahead of time, right? If you're going to make a table for refraction computation for somebody at sea, some time in the future, you don't know where they are and you don't know when, right? You don't know the temperature, the pressure, where they're at. And so you could potentially make a table that includes the temperature and pressure for where they're at, but it would also need to include the temperature of the water. And it would need to include the stuff that I just went over, if there is any sort of nasty complications or variable gradients or ducting. Those kinds of things happen at low elevations, low angular elevation. And if you don't know that's happening, then how can you make a measurement from that and be precise? You can't. And so they say, well, since we can't be precise, then don't make those measurements at that elevation. Because when you're doing celestial navigation, you can choose any of the stars in the sky. And there's lots of them to choose from, plenty. So you don't need to choose a star at 15 degrees or lower. You can use one at 20 or 25 or 40. Just fine. So just do that. Not a problem at all. That's why there's 50 some stars in most nautical almanacs.
Actual refraction, right? They're using empirically derived angle measurement corrections, and they're using planar geometry to do that. So, celestial
Euclidean geometry
navigation is not good for the globe at all.
All right, thank you, Austin. Jeran, did you want to address this one?
Yeah, I just he keeps saying that the 69 miles per degree doesn't work, but if that's the case, then we wouldn't have your latitude lines, which are all over the Earth. Wherever you live right now, you have a latitude. The reason you have that latitude is it's the angle from where you're at to the pole star. So clearly, everywhere is mapped, everywhere is correct, and if we take the distances between those lines, we will figure out that it's 69 miles for every single degree, and if you times that by 360, you get 24,901. So I don't know where you would ever start thinking that they don't actually use it because of refraction, and when it gets close, we're not talking about that. Everybody's latitude is known, and it's their angle to the pole star. That's how we've mapped the Earth. So again, for it not to work would be that you have people where they're not actually at, but we know that anybody who's at 37 degrees, go out tonight and measure the angle to Polaris, it will be 37 degrees. That's what it will be. And the other thing is, are you trying to use the Nathan Oakley line that we can't measure angles from a curved baseline? Is that what you kind of are saying something close to that, but I can't tell if it's what you're trying to say is the same thing? When you're saying that we, okay.
No, but the actual extension of the baseline.
But he's about to say it.
And is a problem for the globe. The actual accurate extension of it.
Yeah, because I don't think that's what they're actually taking it for, right? Because like if I were to ask you, if I went outside my house, if the Earth was a sphere or if it was flat, would I have the same outside my house? Be identical, right? There'd be no way.
Real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, guys, but it looks like it shows that the webinar is about to end in 4 minutes. Is there a way that we can extend it, or will it automatically turn off?
I don't think it should automatically turn off, but I'm going to try to check it. Yikes. If anyone else is in here and can help at the same time, that'd be great. I'm gonna go try to change it.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, the pressure's on. We technically could start another one, but that would be really lame.
Can I pee?
4 hours, save.
I'm gonna go. Oh.
Did it change? Yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. All right.
So, but if we went outside my house,
another minute on this, and we'll move on.
Thank you. So, if I went outside my house, though, Austin,
so I just want to say, Sean actually was a pretty good moderator here.
The Earth would not. I mean, the observations would not change if the Earth was flat or a sphere, correct? Of the size that they say.
Wait, what did you say?
So, in my front yard, if the Earth was sphere or if it was flat, would that change my front yard? If the
No.
Earth was okay, so then we can take angles to stars from quote unquote curved baselines because it wouldn't make a difference one way or the other. You're using the latitude. You're using the tangent, which is technically the flat Earth.
Well, technically, like if you want to ask technically, like on the smallest, most imaginable scale ever, our front yards would be different technically, but practically,
Right, okay, but I'm talking about
practically,
angles. We're taking an angle to Polaris.
technically, but like practically, no. But
Right.
the issue is that we utilize an extension of a horizontal baseline. And again, when we actually take these angles and they don't match, we have to make corrections. And what does the globe claim? The globe claims refraction, but do they actually account with refraction formulas? No, they don't take
Yes, we do.
temperature and pressure and make the corrections. They actually take strictly height, strictly angles, and planar geometry to make the corrections. So to actually
That's
make
the
it
part
work,
that
you
I'm
have to make
confused
the Earth flat on top of acting like it's flat on.
No, none of this is true. Let's see here. Did I pull up the website I was looking for? I did not. All right, hold on. Let me grab it. I have it over here, I think. Nope. Well, let them play while I search for it.
Top of measuring like it's flat, and then you claim that's the proof it's a globe.
Well, that's what you would do if the globe was the size that they say. You wouldn't start treating it like a sphere when we don't even notice that. You would treat it like it's flat with a tangent. But I just have one question. You said again that if they have to make adjustments, nobody's making adjustments to their latitude, right? I mean, if I'm 37 degrees because that's my angle to the pole star, there's no adjustment to that. Nobody's adjusting that.
Okay. Let me show you here. So when Austin says, when he talks about, well, don't use Snell's law. Well, of course, he's wrong. And here is Andrew Thomas Young's website. Calculating ray bending. I'm not going to get into detail here. I'll just put the link in the chat. But here he's talking about how to compute the ray of light that's bending through the air from A to B or A prime to B prime, right? And how do you do that? And this is talking about, if you've heard me talk about the lapse rate, or 1 degree Celsius for 10 meters, that is the lapse rate to cause this ray of light to have a radius that is the same as the globe, the A to B or A prime to B prime. Near the surface, of course, if you're to scale, that A to B is many hundreds of kilometers high. But right near the ground, the variation in elevation doesn't cause the radius of the Earth to change enough to matter in these computations. So anyway, there is, here it is. Do you see that when I highlight it? Yeah. So 0.11 degrees per meter. So that's about 1 degree Celsius per 10 meters. That's where I'm getting that from. And so where is this coming from? This is computed using Snell's law. And he gives a citation up here. And then he's like, well, and here, somebody else did it using a slightly different method, and they get 0.12 degrees per meter instead of 0.11, right? So two different people do two different computations, and it's right. They're using different methods to come to it, and they're coming to the same or nearly the same value. And then here's one more, a third person comes to Wenger in 1918. Applying Snell's law gets 0.114 degrees per meter as a critical temperature gradient. Okay, so again, what that means is when you have a ray of light like A to B here across the surface of the Earth, if you have a temperature change from the surface of, say, water above the surface of the water from 0 meters high to 1 meter high, if it changes in temperature by 0.114, if it increases in temperature by 0.114 degrees, then the light will bend at the same radius as the Earth. That's what it's saying. And right here, he's applying Snell's law to do that. So when Austin is talking about empirical measurements instead of applying Snell's law, he's wrong again. No surprise. Being wrong is Austin's superpower.
If anybody gets, at least, I mean, I would like to hear somebody tell me that there's a location on the Earth that's off by more than 1 degree. I don't think that's even possible. Like, you're telling me that there's somebody at 47 degrees that measures the angle to the Polaris and it's 53 degrees? No.
No.
Well, no, what I'm saying, there is no refraction getting in the way of our latitude, and our latitude lines are a certain distance away from each other. And if you measure those out, they equal to the 24,901. So I get that you're saying, oh, that's just some arbitrary math. Well, no, it's not, because we have the Earth mapped. So
okay, but longitude and latitude is, how was that accomplished? It was reverse engineered from observations of the sky, right? And then
and so reverse engineered from observations in the sky is just code word for people used science. Nothing wrong with doing that at all. Do it using flat Earth. Reverse engineer things in the sky to match flat Earth. Can't do it. 150 years flat Earthers have been trying and failing.
actually apply correction. They apply correction angles over long distances. Didn't actually go physically measure anything. They do calculative corrections over long distances, right? That's what they do.
Nothing wrong with that.
This is where we go all the way back to what we were talking about earlier, which is like, well, how are we actually seeing? Because you're presupposing we're seeing in perfectly straight lines infinitely, and that the only reason the stars are changing is because I'm tipping over on a ball, and we actually don't see that. So if I
just all he's done is say we don't see that. But Austin, Jeran has multiple times gone over that when you move 690 miles south, you have changed your angle by 1 degree to that star, to Polaris. So we do see that.
I say the Earth's a plane and we don't see in perfectly straight geometry, it's curved visual space. You say, no, actually, we see in perfect straight lines infinitely far, and there's nothing between us and the stars is how we can see it, and they're crazy far away. Like, okay, let's go test it out. Which one matches reality?
Which one matches reality? We know. We can do it. But will Austin cite any actual flat Earth measurements that match reality, that match flat Earth, match the prediction of flat Earth?
Actually the first one, because when we start to get to like 15 or even more degrees close to the horizon, it all begins to get logarithmic and compressed in as if
logarithmic and compress in. Oh my gosh.
If it was converging in curved visual space. It would not do that. And it's not just refraction, because again, it also that you're not allowed to use up close to 90. That's where the refraction was supposed to be the least when you're looking.
It is. Remember, do I still have it up here? Yeah, there it is. Here's the, it froze again. Dumb thing. It froze again. I don't get it. I wish it wouldn't do that. All right, come on. What a non-fun thing to have happen all the time here. Okay, here it is. Here is the nautical almanac. There, 90 degrees, zero refraction. So I don't know what he's talking about. So there you go. Zero refraction. I know, it seems to link with when I play pause. I don't know.
Straight up, right? That's what they say. They say you look straight up, there should be basically no refraction. Yeah, they cannot use close to 90 because, well, if it's
so when you're doing celestial navigation, you don't use stars that are directly above you, and there's a good reason for that. When you do celestial navigation, what you're doing is you're measuring the angle to the star, and the important number is the departure from straight up, right? So if you measure above the horizon, you don't, that's not the number you want, right? So if the horizon was 90 degrees from vertical, right, and you measured a star that was 20 degrees in elevation, you don't use the 20 degrees in the celestial navigation stuff. You use 90 minus 20. You use 70 degrees is what you want. Right? And then you multiply that 70 degrees by 69 or 60 nautical miles per degree, And that then lets you draw a circle centered on the GP of that star. So that star is at some point. The nautical almanac tells you for that instant in time, here is where that star is, the GP of that star, right? So then you say, well, okay, so I measured 20 degrees angular elevation up, which is 70 degrees from vertical. So let me draw a circle that's 60 nautical miles times 70 degrees in radius. Draw that circle. I am somewhere on that circle. You know that now. Let's do it to another star. Another star, different direction, different elevation. Let's say it's 40 degrees angular elevation up. Well, what is that? That's off of 90. That's 50 degrees off 90. So 50 times 60 nautical miles. Find the center of that circle you're about to draw by looking in the nautical almanac to tell you where the GP of that star is at the moment in time that you looked at it. Okay, draw a circle. Now you've drawn two circles and they intersect in two spots. You're at one of those two spots. Do it again for a third star and they're going to intersect in one spot. Right? Two is sometimes fine because you have a rough idea where you are. And so you might be able to just say, well, I'm definitely not way over there. This is where I'm at. Or the other one of them could be on land. And if you're on the sea and one of those two intersection points are on land, well, you know that that's not correct. So there you go. You've by process of elimination figured out where you are. But if you don't have that opportunity, and you're just going in completely unknown to where you are, you can use a third star, and that'll give you three intersecting points, the three circles that intersect in one spot, and that's where you are. Now, why can't you use 90 degrees? Well, what you do is you actually can. You can. If you know that the star is really, really straight up from you right now, you are at the GP of that star. So you don't actually need anything. If there is a star that's in the nautical almanac and you can, and your measurement is very precise to know that it's directly above you, that's hard to do on a ship that's moving around with a sextant that's not designed to measure that 90 degrees angle. But if you're able to do that through whatever method you're able to do, then you know you're at that GP. But in reality, you don't actually have that opportunity because a sextant doesn't measure that 90 degrees very well, does it? Right, you're looking straight up. And so, but let's do the celestial navigation off of that 90 degrees, right? You're going to draw a circle. You're going to take 0. How far is it from 90? 90 minus 90 is 0. So it's 0 degrees from there. So let's do, your circle is now a radius of 0. So when you're drawing that circle to get the intersecting points, it's not very good. Let's say that it was 5 degrees. Let's see, your angle was 5 degrees. 85 degrees up, 90 minus 85 is 5 degrees. So now you draw a circle centered on the GP of the star at 5 times 60 nautical miles. Okay? You're somewhere on that circle. The problem with that is when you have that small circle, the point of intersection is a little less precise than if you have a large circle. So there's kind of a sweet spot in the sky where you want to measure these star angles, right? You don't want to go too low because then the refraction starts to increase your sloppiness. And if it's really high, then it's too close. It's too hard to, again, you lose that precision. Addicted to Gaming to Globing says, I didn't buy ticket to the summit, didn't want my money going to Spitsit. Here's a little reimbursement. Thanks to. Well, thank you very much. Addicted to Globing. Okay, so I had planned to do some celestial navigation stuff in here today to you. So I'm going to show, let's see if this is the right one. I have, maybe it's this. All right, here it is. So this is an image that flatties love to show. There you go. They love this one. Okay, this is from the top little graphic there is from a book, right? And they take that and they're like, oh look, that's flat. Therefore, Earth flat. No, not at all. They're not there. This isn't meant to be a treatise on the entirety between you and the GP of the star. That's the top one. The center one here, you see this top of maypole, different lengths of rope. Can you read that? See if I can zoom in a little bit. Right, this isn't even about celestial navigation. This is the center one here. Different, right? Different distances from GP, the GP of the star, right? So, well, maybe it is. I don't know. They're mixing the maypole with celestial navigation, maybe. But this is again a simplified drawing, potentially from a book. Is this the definitive information on how celestial navigation is done? No, it's not. And you can verify this by actually testing it and applying this geometry. If you think it's right, you could go and test that geometry. You'll find it is not. It does not work. And this bottom one here actually shows us that it does not work. So here we have Polaris, and this is it's funny because this totally contradicts. This contradicts flat Earth. But they're not smart enough to understand it. So here they say, here's Polaris, and here's the North Pole, and the Polaris is some linear distance above the North Pole. Okay, well that's something we can test. But now we'll look down here. We've got 45 degrees. You see that 45 degrees there? At 45 degrees is on the number line on the bottom, right at 45 degrees. So you start by measuring that. So I live in Minnesota, and that's 45 degrees. So that's correct. And what is the linear distance across the surface of the Earth from 45 degrees north to the North Pole? 3,501 miles. Is that right? 5,301 miles. Is that, I don't know. It's 3501, I think is the right number. Anyway, but look at these other angles. These other angles are not falling where they should be. So look at the one at 40. Just move to the right there. You see that? If you actually move 60 nautical miles times 5 degrees south, or 69 imperial miles, statute miles, times 5 degrees south, you will measure an angle to Polaris of 40 degrees. But this is showing that you need to go to, looks like 36.5 degrees to get an angle of 40 degrees. And I don't know, I didn't do the math on this, but maybe that is what a flat Earth would require. But that is not what we see in reality. And then you see this farther one over to the right there, where it says the angular elevation is 30 degrees. This really shows how wrong it is. And if this geometry is right, I don't know if it is or not, but it's saying that at 12 degrees north latitude, the angle to Polaris would be 30 degrees. But in reality, at 30 degrees north latitude, the angle to Polaris is 30 degrees. This diagram, which at the bottom hilariously claims that sextants only work properly on a flat level plane, shows that sextants do not work properly on a flat level plane. That's what's going on here. It doesn't work. And this diagram proves that it doesn't work. First law of Flurf. This is a meme that flat earthers send around all the time. They love this meme. You know what I just found? This seems to reset when I change tabs. Anyway. There we go. There's a little information on celestial navigation for those wondering, and how that diagram, that meme that flat earthers put around all the time, doesn't actually work according to that very meme. right? When you actually apply the rise over run, the triangle solving, it doesn't work. But Dick, do you think that graph is correct? Funny. I hope you don't. That'd be silly.
Per visual space on both close to 90 and the edge, you would expect there to be an actual logarithmic change. It wouldn't be a 1-to-1 linear ratio, and that's what we see in reality. And conveniently, they'll never tell you that. We have to go look at the actual manuals and find out, wait a minute, why did they tell me I can't use this? I thought it was super easy.
If people study celestial navigation, there's no secrets to it. They just tell you, yeah.
Degree per 69 miles. It's not. This makes perfect sense. It's exactly what we expect if visual space is curved. So now we expect it off. It's real simple, like caveman math. Let's use straight lines. But,
But because of refraction, the lines aren't actually straight. It's not caveman. We're smarter than caveman. Austin's not.
That's what they say.
Yeah. Gentlemen, we need to move on to another question real quick. Casey's asking, I hear ball earthers routinely invoke the argument that flat earthers don't have a map. However, it would seem to require a king's commission for such an undertaking. What kind of assets and costs do you both believe are associated with the creation of map making?
Well,
Jeremy, go first.
We've already done it. You can make observations of the sun. We know where the tropics are. We know where the equator is. Once you have that, you verify the continent shape, which we've pretty much already done, and the layout, which is pretty much already done. So there is, the reason that they say there's no map is there's no map that matches real world observations. You can draw a flat earth map and be happy with it if you want. The A map works for just drawing it. And it actually, if you look at Dave's app, it actually kind of shows where the sun would be above for the most part, as long as you don't go too far south. But regardless of that, it might be a king's undertaking, but it would be fruitless because we've already mapped the earth. And so you're not going to come out with anything. If it's flat, then you would come out with the AE map. I mean, there's no other way. It doesn't matter what you map out. You're not going to get continents. Africa is not going to be on the other side of South America. It doesn't work. It doesn't happen because the sun goes in the order that we know. So therefore, we know the layout of the earth, and it has been tried on different shapes, and it only works on one. And that's will forever be that way. I've now realized that. There'll never be a way that you can match observations of the what we see with a flat world, because the earth's not flat. So it's unfortunate, by the way. Unfortunately.
Austin, would you like to?
So 12 Monkey says, did I help Jeran prep for this debate? I did. I sent him a couple ideas. That's about it. I sent him, I said, remember Austin always likes to say falsification is independent of replacement. We falsified flat earth when we went to Antarctica with this map. And so Jeran said that. Oh, it might have been it. Jeran doesn't need help. He nailed it.
To address this one, what kind of assets and costs do you believe are associated with the creation of map making?
That's something insane that.
You know what it would actually be? It'd be, let's figure out how to do a coordinate system. How do you figure out where you are on flat Earth? Okay, flat earthers 450 years have used the AE map. They've been satisfied with this right now. But for 6 months, Austin has had to use a different map. He's had to say, well, we need to reevaluate severely everything that there is. So certainly Austin has spent the last 6 months figuring out how to determine, what the correct, reevaluating things. So how would you determine where you are on flat Earth? How would you do that, right? Because that's a necessary thing for cartography. You need to know where you are. And so, of course, when cartography has been done over the last several centuries, they use celestial navigation to figure out where they are. One of the things that they do. Right? So, however you would on flat Earth figure out where you are in relation to other things on the surface of flat Earth, that's what you would then determine. Okay? If the Earth were flat, there would be ways to do it using celestial navigation and simple solving of triangles. But it doesn't work. But if the Earth were flat, you'd totally do it that way. But so go ahead, flatties. Go do that, right? Then, once you've figured out how to determine where you are, go to the shoreline of the United States and figure out and apply that method to get your location. Okay, whatever it is that you do to get your location. Okay, and then go to a different spot on there. Just tell all the flatties, here's how you do it. Step. Get your position. Write it down, and then write down where you are in relation to other stuff. Right here, we're on the shore of North Carolina. Okay, and now let's drive some distance north. Okay, let's do it again. Okay, get our position, and there we drove, and we're approximately right. We drove 100 miles north. Right. Oh well. Okay. So now let's go do the same thing in the shore of England. Right on the shore of England. Okay, let's get our spot, our position on flat Earth. Okay. And now because you know some things about it, okay. Well, here's our coordinate system, right? And how far is it from the North Pole to some distance south of it? Well, that's well known. You don't need any help. You don't need any money for that. It's 60 nautical miles per degree, 69 statute miles per degree that you move south. You can measure the angle to Polaris and do all right, go ahead and apply that now. Right? That's all been done for you long ago. You don't need you just go do it. Just go. It wouldn't cost anything. You just have to think. And there's the boundary. There's the boundary. That is going to stop the flat earthers because they would have to think. They can't think. They can't think. Distance is linear, idiot. Okay. I don't know. Is that to me? Anyway, so go do that. Here's the problem. There's 150 years of flat earthers writing books. I got a bunch of them right up here. They all use this map. And then we've got less than 10 years of other flat earthers saying, oh, well, that map didn't work, so maybe it's this other map. What map is it? Right? These other maps that they've used are ridiculously bad. And I showed a couple of them but for the most part, there's just the AE map. That's all you got. That's all there is. What are you gonna do, flatties? You got no other map, right? But try it. Go ahead. What are you gonna do? You've got the Tropic of Cancer, the Tropic of Capricorn, the equator, the general orientation of the continents. You can't change any of them, right? And understand that if you want to get on an airplane and go to anywhere on the surface of the Earth, you can do that for an amount of money that is not impossible to get. Go do it. But no, they won't. They say they're like, oh, we want to. There's no flat Earth cartographers. Nobody's ever tried. Nobody's ever tried to say, well, let's not use the latitude longitude system. Let's use something else. Nobody's ever tried to do that. So, whatever. Bunch of losers.
That's impossible to even fathom for one like free exploration, and then of course into
now Austin, who's been to Antarctica and knows you can go there. You don't get to complain about free exploration.
today's day and age, probably lots of money as well, but it's much more about the resources, the amount of people, and the amount of time and that it would actually take to do it. It's not particularly realistic. Like, yeah, sure, we have some maps, but they're just maps. This is actually the problem is people, Jeran, really, you think that there has to be an accurate map of reality.
You have to have an accurate map of reality in order to do long-range navigation. And people do long-range navigation. So they have an accurate map of reality. This isn't 500 years ago when we didn't do fast long-range travel. We can do fast long-range travel today. Whatever the pilots use of the airplane, that's the right map.
And there will never be one. There will never be one. There's not even one of the globe. You think the globe is accurate, but you're correct.
You're not going to let you say that.
No, wait. The globe is made from a coordinate system. The globe is made from a coordinate system. That's all that it is. You presuppose the actual sphere. Then you're going to look at the sky. You're going to reverse engineer the coordinate system. Then you're going to make the map based on that coordinate system. That's why you're going to always have distortion.
Do all of that for flat Earth. If that it works accurately. So go do it, but you won't. And there's no distortions here, right? This is critically important. When you have a map that doesn't have distortions, that map is an accurate model for the Earth. If the Earth is flat, then it would be easy to get a non-distorting map of the Earth. The fact that every single flat map is distorted is proof, is a falsification of flat Earth. The fact that every when you make a globe of the Earth and you've got to measure it correctly. You don't just do it in crayon like flat earthers would. You get an accurate map with the right sizes and distributions and land masses on it. That is evidence that the Earth is a globe.
It's just a projection, and you can move the center around, and then it changes. Am I lagging?
Are you saying the globe? The globe has. You just said that the globe is a projection, or is the globe an actual model of the Earth?
The map's a projection. All the maps are projections.
Not this
I'm
one.
not a map. I'm talking about the globe Earth. The globe model with the 3D globe with some people on this side, some people on this side, some people upside down from the other people. That map, that globe model.
What about it?
Well, because it's
made from a coordinate system.
Yeah, that's how you would make it. That's how would you make it?
Do you not get the point, though?
It's made from a coordinate system. You're right. That's how you do it. Jaron, you're nailing it. And Austin's like, it's made from a coordinate system. You're just acknowledging. You're acknowledging the thing that you're trying to deny. This is you losing, Austin.
No, it's not about how you would make anything. It's like we just make the coordinate system using the sky, reverse engineer it, and then we make the maps based on that.
Yeah.
So
go do that for flat Earth.
Okay, so you have to presuppose it again. You have to reify and affirm.
Sure, but that's what you do. If you're going to test things, you presuppose something and then see if it matches observations. So if we presuppose a flat Earth, we notice that it doesn't match observations. If you presuppose a globe, it does. That's the difference.
Well, first of all, coordinate systems are not the same as like physical datum, like physical measurements, and we actually take physical measurements and take actual datum. They're horizontal consistently. This is what we keep on talking about.
Here we got truth knowledge here. He's like, there is no globe model. I'm holding it right here, dummy. I can take a measurement across Australia here, and I can go to the legend here on the side here, and it's the accurate distance across Australia. I can measure on this physical model of the Earth from Sydney to Santiago here. I can pull a string across here, across it, right across that, and I'll get a distance using that. I go to the legend and I get that distance, okay, and then look at the real flights that really happen multiple times a week and see if they match. So I don't just have a model. I have a model that works. I have a model that's never been shown to not work. That's what's awesome. I'm winning. I get to be winning all the time when I enter a debate. I've won before the debate starts because I have a model that works and has never been shown to be wrong, and every flat earther has no model that works. They don't have anything at all. Nothing. I love it. I don't get tired of winning. I never get tired of winning. It's awesome winning.
We take the coordinate system, we presuppose the globe, we make a coordinate system, reverse engineer it, then we're going to make projections and maps. That's why maps are so blown out of proportion in this discussion. They're useless. That doesn't matter. When it comes to the truth of the matter, it doesn't matter at all. Literally.
The map is flat, and a flat map can never match the real world. That's why.
Just in general, the maps are just projections. It's like they're just merely conceptual and they can be changed around. This is the important part. This is the important part.
Well, if the Earth was flat, wouldn't we be able to map it? Easily.
No,
yes.
No, the problem is, again, the way that we act.
Yes.
In theory,
yes, you could.
Pretty sure, maybe, but the actual problem is the way that we did it, which is we
Well, go do it right then, genius.
took a coordinate system. We created a coordinate system. So they presuppose the globe, they reify it, and then take coordinate systems based on that, and then they make a map, and then they create that projection, and we can move it around however we want to. But they don't take, again, this is the difference. Calculative assumption that creates the coordinate system, or physically, empirically.
It's not an assumption. All of these things were measured. The radius was measured.
Measured datum on the surface, which always matches flat.
No,
This
it
goes back
doesn't.
to what we were talking about.
Again, it doesn't always match flat. It never matches flat on long distances. On short distances, the flat and globe are so close that unless you're measuring extremely precisely, it's within your margin of error. So there you go.
Where, okay, well, we can find out the truth of the matter. Let's go look and see what happens when we move along the Earth. When we move along the Earth, we cannot assume it's a globe. It doesn't work. We have to make corrections. Oh, it's refraction. Okay, then let's go. What do we have to correct for? Pressure and temperature and optical variables in the sky, right? No, that's not how we make the corrections. We make physical measurements, empirically derived corrections with just angles and height, and we have to fix and cook the books because the globe doesn't match. So that proves that the actual...
But they do match. We don't cook the books to match. They do match. Oh, precious.
Coordinate system isn't correct. So how do we get the coordinate system? Because however we got it isn't correct. The presupposition was that it's a globe. Then we made a celestial coordinate system. Then we made a map. Then we flattened that globe out. And people say, look, this flattened globe out is distorted. It's like, yeah, of course it is. And
because the source is a globe. It's as him admitting. I love it.
Austin, I got to jump in real quick. Okay. You're definitely on a roll, so I'm going to stop real quick. We got a few more questions that we need to get to. This one is from John, is asking for Jeran. Do you now believe that the weak force of gravity holds all southern oceans onto the bottom of the sphere? And if you do believe that, what type of gravity is it?
This is so funny. How long have flat earthers been saying the bottom of a sphere? Right? Like they think that the Earth is a sphere in space and that gravity is this direction. Right? They think that. This guy, right? They do it in memes on Facebook, I think because they're idiots or they're trying to be stupid or get a reaction. But this was actually in a comment by a flat earther that paid money to attend this conference. And this idiot actually thought that gravity is this way in relation to the globe. The bottom of this. How does water stick to the bottom of a sphere? That's what he's actually asking. This is how dumb flat earthers are. Amazing how stupid that they are, right? The globe, this way is down, this way is down, this way is down, this way is down, right? Toward the center is down. Flat earthers, you are stupid. And this is the thing. The few flat earthers that know that that's wrong don't go and go to the other flat earthers and say, what the hell are you talking about? You're embarrassing. They don't do that. They should. If I see somebody on Facebook, a glober, saying something wrong, I'll call him typically I'll send him a DM or I'll send I'll do a reply to their message and say, hey, here you go. Here's the actual thing, But no flat earthers go around and say, why are you saying such idiot things? If they don't do it, it's very telling that they won't correct them.
Stenian, is it Newtonian?
Yeah, I think
gravity holds the atmosphere. Is it from being equilibrium with the vacuum of space?
I don't know. What seems to make this the most sense because I think that the Earth proves itself to be a sphere. So therefore, the idea that the center of the Earth has some sort of attractive force seems to make sense because that's what we experience. So there is no water being held to the bottom of the globe. That would require the pressure to be going the other direction. The water is being held to the globe like the water in the north is, like the water everywhere is. It's all the same. There is no difference. There's nobody who's upside down. To be upside down, you have to have your head where your feet should be. But on the Earth, your feet should be at the ground towards the center of the Earth. That's where you are. That's where everybody is. So there is nobody upside down. Now you could say, well, what about the guy way up there in the north versus the guy down there in the south, Jeran? Are they upside down compared to each other? That's a different story. That would be a yes. But they're not upside down themselves. So to make questions about how do we hold water, how do we hold boats, how do we hold ships, is basically admitting that you don't have a full grasp of what they mean by gravity and how it works.
Okay, thank you, Jeran. Austin, would you like to address this one?
Sorry, I was changing it over. Yeah, can you just remind me what it was?
Yeah, it's
gravity.
Do we now believe the weak force of gravity holds all the southern oceans on the bottom of the sphere?
Oh, yeah.
And if it is gravity, what type? Einsteinian or Newtonian?
Sorry, I was so gay I forgot it. Obviously, I don't believe in any of that nonsense. I don't believe in gravity's terribly debunked and impossible, and everything's intrinsically electric. And I guess this is kind of the point I was trying to.
Gravity's been totally debunked, and gravity's intrinsically electric. Austin can't deal with any of this. He doesn't understand the simplest stuff about how these things work, and he's talking as if he does. It's amazing.
Make to Jeran more of a meta, right? Which is like you're honing in on something that you're like, okay, I can't explain this on the flat, so it can't be flat. But it's like, okay, so what about all these other things that we know you're not going to be able to explain on the globe? Because you actually require gravity as the prerequisite to ever even claim it's a globe. And, inclusion directly to the question, no, I absolutely do not believe in that, because gravity's been debunked 1,000 times over, and simply because they need the globe.
Gravity's been debunked 1,000 times over. Where is your Nobel Prize? Because in science, when you refute a well-established thing in science, a law. For example, if you refuted the law of gravitational attraction, you would get a whole bunch of money from a Swedish prize. But no, it's not been refuted. It's been shown that you don't understand the topic.
Need the heliocentric model. They need the Copernican principle. They had to come up with some crazy nonsense where time and distances magically contract and slow down to match whatever they need for the Earth.
Do you think it could be something else though? Like there's a guy, I was just reading his theory the other day. I know it sounds crazy. It's called the trillion years theory, but it's the theory that there's a black hole at the middle of every sphere. That the black hole at the middle of the sun, black hole at the middle of the Earth, and that's what's attracting things to it. So it's not gravity per se. So I mean, that's where I kind of am saying that the Earth will always be a sphere, just like all your friends that are geocentrists, Robert Sungenis, Robert Bennett, all these PhD guys, they all believe the Earth is a sphere. Everybody, Tycho Brahe, Copernicus, you name them, they all believe the Earth is a sphere, and there's a reason for that, because the Earth is a sphere.
No, you're just now you're boldly.
I love Jeran trashing this here.
Appealed to majority.
Oh no, it's not appealed to majority. So you're saying that we have today a flat Earth theory that has no map, no model, no explanations, you can't even tell me what the Earth looks like. You can't even say, oh, it looks like this, because what
you did, you appealed to majority. Now you're shifting the burden. I don't want to be super cutthroat and just hit you with.
Shifting the burden. Austin, you've said the Earth is flat. You have the burden.
What your fallacies you're using, but you are using lots of fallacies. But like in good faith, like it's like, who cares? Actually, I talked to Dr. Bennett, and he said that he sits in the rooms and he's like, wow, I don't know how to answer these reputations of the globe. He hasn't focused on that. He didn't say like he's for sure that the Earth's a globe. It has to be a globe. But I want to ask the question everyone here wants to know from you, right? Like, do you think the Earth is moving?
It seems to make sense that's where you would get easier observations. Otherwise, if you're geocentrist, then you have to move everything around the Earth at crazy speeds, faster than the speed of light. Seems kind of funny,
dude. So do you not see?
But Austin, remember what you said.
We don't throw out 95% of evidence because there's 1 or 2 or 10 outliers that we don't know how to currently explain.
So you can't explain. He can't explain anything, Austin. But Jeran, this is a great point Jeran made here, right? And he's in the live chat right now, right over here. When you say that the Earth is geocentric, right? It is a geocentric globe, right? That the geocentrists like Robert Sungenis don't think the Earth is flat. So when they say what they say, they're like, well, they say the Earth doesn't move, and so then the sun has to move around it once a day, right? How does that happen? There's what pulls the sun toward the Earth while it does that every day? No idea. They provide nothing. But things that are farther than the sun, say the edge of our solar system, in order to go around us one time in a day, they have to move faster than the speed of light. That's what Jeran was just talking about there now. How do they move faster than the speed of light? You got a big problem there. But what is Austin? Well, can't be bothered to see that that's a massive issue. Can't touch that at all.
why people are like, what is going on right now? Like that what? You know that the evidence has shown that the earth is not moving. We maybe will have another debate or something.
Real quick, guys, let me jump in with the next question, which is exactly what you're talking about, okay? Roger's asking, why are the measurements of the ether ignored? The MMX, the Dayton Miller, Bob, and many others, along with Aries failure, which shows the earth is not in motion.
Now, let me remind you once again what Austin has said about the ether.
Ether's not science.
Ether is an immaterial background medium of pure potential. It cannot be quantified or measured intrinsically.
Okay, so ether is not science, and ether cannot be measured intrinsically. There is no evidence for ether. Austin says so. Right? So now he's going to presuppose the ether exists in contradiction with what he said about ether.
Okay, Jeran,
would you like to go first?
I mean, to me, it shows that the Earth is not in motion through any kind of an ether that they tried to test, at least the way they tested it. So, again, to those things, that seems to me to be such a high level physics thing that's out of my wheelhouse. And it used to be important to me because I thought we were lied to about the shape of the Earth or where we lived. And I no longer think that's the case. Now, I think they could be wrong. Obviously, I think they're wrong about dark matter, dark energy. Even there could be gravity issues. There could be, maybe we haven't gone to the moon. Maybe we can't get out of low Earth orbit. There's a lot of other things, but I'm not making those claims today. My claim is that the evidence shows us where we live. And I think that in order to believe that you live on a flat Earth, you have to then believe in a deceptive God. You have to believe that a God made the Earth answerable with one word, sphere.
Okay, Peachy Tony, I just want, I yesterday when I was watching this, I was looking at what Jeran was saying and how he was phrasing things. Knowing the audience that he had in front of him is primarily flat earthers, and I guessed that Jeran, and then Jeran confirmed he was carefully choosing his words, right, for his audience. So when he was being non-committal on gravity, here's what I think. And Jeran, you can confirm or not, whatever you want. He was saying he was saying that non-committally so that it wouldn't distract the audience. But I would guess that Jeran would say, yeah, gravity does seem to exist, that the evidence for it does seem to be there. And the reason why is because flat earthers don't think that gravity doesn't exist because they started thinking gravity doesn't exist and then came into flat earth, right? I think that flat earthers, and I know, flat earthers reject mass attracting mass because mass attracting mass doesn't work with flat earth. And so when they look at flat earth and then somebody says, yeah, but mass attracting mass would cause flat earth to collapse into a sphere, they say, oh, well then that by necessity cannot exist. So they begin with a conclusion, right? There you go. And Jeran says the Earth is a sphere, so gravity is the answer that matches the observation best. There you go. So, were you being the way you were, being non-committal, because you didn't want to distract your audience and get off topic on that? They're like, is it Einsteinian or Newtonian gravity? Obviously, this person has no damn clue about how gravity works. To know that Einsteinian and Newtonian gravity are completely in agreement with each other. Newtonian gravity is what we experience within our reference frame. G equals F, the force of gravity equals gravitational constant G times m1 times m2 over r squared. That is the Newtonian gravity, and it holds true within our reference frame. So, and the Einstein's field equations solve to that for a reference frame that is not moving at high speed in relation to another position. So on my website, mctoon.net/Einstein, I think has 4 citations showing that the Einstein's field equation, the relationship between the field equations and Newtonian gravity. So
here, but it's really not. It's actually flat, and it's actually this, and well, no. Why would God make it so that it's answerable by saying flat? Why would it be so easy to say, hey, how come it's an upside down sun and moon? Oh, you're upside down and you're on a ball. Oh, why is there backwards moving? Because you're on a ball. Oh, well, why is there a south celestial pole? Oh, because you're on a ball. Oh, so all the answers of you're on a ball suffice. Yet we're supposed to believe that that's not the truth. The truth is really that God made a flat earth, but just happened to make the mistake of making it also answerable by being on a sphere. Now, the difference is we can map the Earth. We have it mapped on a sphere, and it matches every single observation, every one. And on a flat Earth, it matches none. That's the difference. So you can keep believing in the flat Earth if you want, but it's not going to come along. You're not going to, down the road, figure out that there's some answer, because look how long it's been. There's been no answer. There's a reason why Lady Blount in 1895 was saying, well, there is a southern sun, but we can't explain it. Well, now we're 150 years past that. And
how many flat earthers are as well read as Jeran was? Basically none.
Hasn't even been an attempt, because people have realized what I realized. Oh, any flat map will be the AE map, and the AE map doesn't match reality. Therefore, I hate to tell you, the Earth cannot be flat. It's time to just grow up and say, okay, let's move on to actual real conspiracies, and let's stop teaching kids lies. I did it for 10 years. It makes me sick that I thought so completely about the South being a lie that I based my entire idea of the Earth on that on that point. And when I went and found out that that's not the case, now everything else is a mess. So I see what Austin's saying, where you're like, what's going on? Now you believe that we're spinning. Now you believe. No, it's not a matter of that. It's the Earth is a ball. It shape is a sphere, and that can be realized by yourself. You can go out tonight or sunset, watch the sunset, call a friend in the South, have them watch the sunset go the other direction, and you know you're on a sphere, because there's no flat map that will ever account for that. But the sphere model is exactly that. How would the Earth be modeled
perfectly?
For your answer.
Thank you.
That's so good.
Did you want to address this one? Why is measurements of ether ignored? MMX, Dave Miller, Bob, and many others, along with Aries failure.
Remember, one more time.
Ether is an immaterial background medium of pure potential. It cannot be quantified or measured intrinsically. Yeah, of course. And like Jeran knows the answer to this. It's because it actually has philosophical implications that the Earth is in a special and unique position. If the Earth's in the center of everything, how did it get there? And that is the answer as a creator. It was placed there. There was some type of intelligent design. You can actually prove that with the first and second law of thermodynamics. Doesn't matter though. Like that's why it's so glaringly obvious if the Earth is in the center that it was placed there, that they run away from it. And they say this, and Jeran, again, you know that as well. Like they just straight up tell you. Wait, bro. I don't interrupt you, bro. Like they straight up tell you, right, why they do that. All geocentrists are globers. That doesn't matter. Like we're talking, like the question is, this like now I have beef with you, intellectual beef though, right? But my point is that it's like, how all of a sudden are you going to flip on that? Oh, maybe it makes more sense. It'd have to go faster than the speed of light. No, actually, even in the theory of relativity, according to his own equations, that the actual stars can go faster than the speed of light based on the presence of the strength of the gravitational field and the immensity of masses. In relativity itself, it can actually go faster than the speed of light. Actually, doesn't have to, because we have to presuppose distance to even claim that, and we have to claim the finite speed of light in the first place. But MMX absolutely showed the Earth was not moving. So now we're in the world where we're just invoking insanity, right? Just pure insanity, that the measuring apparatus contracted, but it looks exactly the same size, time slowed down, just coincidentally the exact right amount to make us think that the Earth is stationary, but it's actually not. But we can't just, I don't agree with that, but it could still be moving. That doesn't make any sense. Like, it isn't moving. The answer, and Aries failure proves definitively that it's not moving. And this is kind of like the issue. This is the issue. You said, but now I just thought we were lied to about the shape of the Earth. So now I don't really care about that. What do you
remember? All of everything that Austin just said presupposes the ether exists, which Austin agrees is not science.
What do you mean? That's actually the inverse of how I feel. Right, the most important part of it almost is that the Earth is stationary, because that means it's in the center.
You believe in God no matter what. You believe in God no matter what. So for me, there's a creator no matter what. Whether the Earth is out amongst the galaxies or whether it's the central point. Neither of those is going to make me. It's not like if I found out that heliocentrism was real, I'd be like, oh, there's no God. We're all here accidental. No, there's a God.
There's no point. You just brought up the point about lying to children, and now you're saying it doesn't really matter now because I selfishly already believe in God. So who cares about children being told that we're flying infinitely to the vacuum? You say, what's it matter? Because I already believe in God anyway. Well, what about the 6-year-old who's being told that they're on a time spec that does free falling through an infinite void?
We'll teach your kids not to buy everything at school. That's one thing we should know right off the bat. We should know
that isn't the point. Truth always matters. That was your whole point. And to answer the question directly and very concisely, the reason that it's ignored is because it has philosophical.
Austin hates the truth.
Implications that the Earth
I
is
agree
in the
with that,
center.
right? We went on the same page.
Okay, well, it definitively shows that the Earth is not moving. Now, you have a stationary globe, and you know that that's really rough to deal with, and that's why you're like, well, maybe it is moving, because it just sounds ridiculous.
Well, there's not enough people that have ever looked into it. There's not enough people that have thought about, could the Earth be at the center of everything and be spinning? Could it be? There's a lot of things that make you go, I don't know if that works. Well, if
it's spinning, it has to revolve at the same time. They absolutely would have done that if they could have done that.
It have to revolve at the same time.
Based on the actual celestial observations, if they're spinning, it has to be revolving.
Gentlemen, I'm going to jump in real quick. We have we have a few minutes left, just 2 minutes left, actually. And a few questions that, Jeran, do you want to take any more questions at this point? Or you guys want to keep going on where you're, okay. So we got a question here from Casey asking, hi, Jeran. It's actually to both of you, but mostly to Jeran. Hi, Jeran. I appreciate you and Austin. I admit, I'm embarrassed to admit I've listened to both of you for hundreds of hours.
Embarrassed to admit. Well, I would be embarrassed to admit, having listened to Jeran pre Antarctica and Austin ever in public. My goodness, that's embarrassing.
Thank you both. And Jeran, your change of mind was immediately following your trip. It would seem deep reflection would be necessary before concluding anything publicly. To me, your response seemed inorganic. Why didn't you ponder your view for a longer period?
So that's multifaceted, but for one thing, I was the only one that people remember for 6 months prior to the trip saying what it meant. That I was laying out the AE map that I believed in, said this is the map that I believe in. It's the map that Dave Weiss uses for his app. It's what everybody believes in, even though now they pretend like they don't. We're not talking about Austin. Austin's never championed the model. But all flat earthers, this is why they have to say that TFE was fake, is because they actually do believe in the AE map, and they actually do know that the sun circling down there would falsify it. They just don't want to come out and say it, so they'd rather just say that the trip didn't happen. This way they don't have to worry about it. But the trip did happen, and the sun did do what falsifies the AE map. So it comes down to, remind me of the question, the premise?
This is a good point that Jeran just made there. All of the flat earthers that had a problem with the trip and claimed, or that are still claiming fakery, it's because this is their map. This is their admission that this is their map and that a 24-hour circling sun destroys it. They are committing themselves to that when they claim fakery. Right? And think about that. And they know internally that it wasn't faked. They know that. But it has to be in order for their dumb model to be correct. And so they have to, like, they know they have this mismatch internally. They know it wasn't faked, but they know that the 24-hour sun destroys flat Earth. Which is it? Well, they won't accept. They won't accept flat Earth being destroyed. And so they have to go with the alternative. Jeran cut through the psychology there.
So basically,
why didn't you ponder longer?
Why didn't you take longer before you publicly announced your decision?
Got you. So for 6 months, I was the one telling everybody this, because it was big to me. I did see it as an opportunity to either prove flat Earth or to detriment it, meaning that if the sun did set down there, then the flat Earth is pretty much it. Now we know that it's the case because it now refutes the globe. The globe is falsified with a setting sun in the south. So that was a hope. Now, talking to Austin, we both understood that as time got closer to that trip, we were like, shit, as it gets closer, I'm starting to think it might be a 24-hour sun there. But I already knew, and this is why everybody was arguing with me, from Brother Sanchez and Z and all these guys, they were all upset at me for saying that if I go down there and see a sun circling, then I'm going to come back and say that the globe model better matches reality. And that's just how I felt, because the AE map I knew would be gone. And for 6 months, I sat there with paper trying to draw it, trying to figure it out. And I just couldn't. I was like, oh my God, the tropics are a physical thing from the sun. Same thing with the equator. So we can't move those. And so are the continents. So therefore, it's an AE map every day or nothing. So that's why it was so easy. Now, when I got back and I saw everybody saying that it was a fake trip, I realized what we were dealing with, which was a shell of the former flat Earth. The Bob Nodells, the Rob Skiba flat Earth, the research flat Earth is gone. There is nobody left like that. There's people like Stephen Alfonso who will just say that all flat maps predict a 24-hour sun. Completely and totally false. Everybody bought it, ran with it. That's what the new flat Earth is. St. Pierre coming up with basically the what's his name? Walter Bisland's model, where now we introduce a second sun that happens to be placed exactly where the globe model says that the one sun is, and we call that a flat map that has some sort of answer. Nope, that's just lying and cheating and stealing from the globe. So everywhere I looked, all I found was people saying, you didn't go, you're a liar, or it doesn't matter, it's a nothing burger. So I realized, people who are flat earthers will forever be flat earthers because they refuse to acknowledge when something goes against their model. They'll just call it fake, and they won't even deal with it. So there was nobody to go to the table with me. I thought, hey, we'll come back and we'll go to Zoom and we'll get together, go back to the drawing board and figure out what the map is. There's no such thing anymore. Flat earthers are so intolerant and so convinced, they don't even do that anymore. They don't even sit down and discuss things. They already think they have all the answers. They know it. Go look at Facebook, look at comments, look at posts. They just make crazy, rude statements about people and say, "Oh, you stupid idiots! What, a boat's upside down?" And they're just so sure of themselves, and it's a sad thing to see because I don't think that they're right anymore. And I think that a lot of it is misunderstanding. And then there's just lies everywhere. You know that video where the astronaut's on the ISS and he drops a screw and it goes ding, ding, ding. And he goes, "Oh, we found out that's fake. A flat earther faked that. They made that scene. You can find the original. He doesn't drop any screw."
Yeah.
So there's like all these, which are very...
Thank you for your answer, Jeran. That's, we're going up on 3 minutes there. And last one is actually for Austin here. Austin, wouldn't Occam's razor tell us that if the globe matches all observations in the sky and distances on the ground, but no flat map can do either of those without distortion, that it's most likely a sphere?
Okay, that is a fantastic question, and Austin often talks about Occam's razor. Let me remind you of Occam's razor. When you have multiple options, let's say 2, that have that are equally valid, they both make predictions, and those predictions match observations. When you have 2 different ones where the predictions match observations, 1 2 1 2, right? Which one do you pick if they're not the same, right? Occam's razor says the one that has the least assumptions is most likely to be correct. That's Occam's razor. So, does Occam's razor apply? Does Occam's razor apply to flat Earth versus globe Earth? No, it does not. Because flat Earth doesn't meet the criteria of entering into consideration for Occam's razor. Because, as I said, Occam's razor, when you have 2 equally valid options, 2 options that make predictions that match observations, we have 2 equally valid ones of those. The one that has least assumptions is the one most likely to be true. Not absolute, but most likely. Flat Earth doesn't make accurate predictions. Flat Earth is not a valid model. It doesn't have anything at all. So in reality, to be truly honest, Flat Earth cannot even enter into the doors of Occam's razor because it is not valid in any way. But what's Austin about to say? Because he's screwed. You can't use Occam's razor even, but let's pretend you did for a second. In order for Flat Earth, you have so many assumptions that you have to make. Let's see what he says.
Okay. Instead of me. Jesus.
Yeah, but it actually doesn't. Occam's razor actually doesn't do that, right? That's why I originally said the best argument you could try to make about the 24-hour sun, for example, is you just make claims that aren't true. Matches all the observations in the sky. No, they don't. I just specifically detailed multiple observations it doesn't match.
No, he didn't. Nothing at all.
And always hand wave dismissed. I'll look into it later, or refraction. I don't need to explain how.
I didn't hear anything specifically.
So, yeah, specifically the star that was occulted by the mountain, and specifically.
So the mountain had nothing to do with Antarctica, but of course, as I mentioned yesterday, and I'll show you again today. Here is a spreadsheet of the data that he's talking about of this occultation here, right? Here are several different observations that were made by Jesse Path of Light. Here we have the globe Earth prediction in degrees, the flat Earth prediction in degrees, the Hefferon method, which is the one that Austin is talking about, and then we've got the GE difference, you see that column, and the FE difference column. The globe Earth, so this is the difference between the globe Earth prediction and the observation, and the flat Earth prediction and the observation, using Hefferon's method. And the difference that the globe is off is at the top column there, 7 arc minutes, and flat Earth 13 arc minutes. So globe is closer. And the second chunk here, you see 0.6 arc minutes versus 11.6. Globe is closer, a lot closer. So we've got a bunch of examples here where the globe beats flat Earth. Now this isn't all of the data. The data is all over the place, and it depends how far you are from the mountain. So Austin is completely wrong on that.
That you can't even use celestial navigation 1 degree per 69 miles. But this is what I'm saying. Please don't interrupt me, bro. Like, this is what is always done. It's like these holistic claims as if they're just true. We're supposed to grant them. It matches everything, doesn't match anything on the flat Earth. I told people, by the way, to the Globers, I'm like, the best argument you could make about the sun, the 24-hour sun, is Occam's razor. That which requires the least amount of assumptions is most likely to be true. So
that's not Occam's razor. You notice that? Look it up. Look up Occam's razor and see what it actually says. Two equally valid or multiple equally valid options. And he didn't get that correct. But even when you'd use his version, the one with the least assumptions, right? Whatever has the least assumptions is true. Well, flat Earth doesn't work because they still don't make any predictions. But in order for the sun to be seen due south, what kind of assumptions are you making for this thing here? So many.
If I say, oh, well, I go down there because I'm just tipped over, right? Because I will throw this in here. Well, hey, if there was actually a satanic force, if Satan's actually real, I know you might take beef with that. If he wanted to deceive the world, well, maybe he would have greater knowledge of the way that the world works. And
that's quite an assumption there, Austin. Why are you going with the assumptions? You have to go with the non-assumptions.
Be able to absolutely hijack the fact that in the South things change. So that doesn't sound like you appeal to like a philosophical grounds there. But I'm just gonna say Occam's razor. Okay, the problem with that actually though, it sounds good because the other argument is just affirming the consequent. That's no good. But Occam's razor sounds good until you realize, oh, actually it doesn't require the least amount of assumptions, right? Because it requires me believe that the sun is 93 million miles away, that the stars are an infinite.
But that's not an assumption that's been measured. And the stars aren't at an infinite distance away. They're long distance away. That's been measured. So it's not an assumption either.
In a way, thus there's nothing in between us so that we can see that. And that perspective doesn't affect the sky like it affects everything else.
We don't assume that. That's not an assumption. We assume that that perspective affects the sky just perfectly fine.
Special pleading, then I claim that actually my physical orientation is why I saw the sun that way. So it requires way more assumptions.
None of those things that he listed are assumptions. Notice that? Those were a list of things that he has applied to.
Before you can talk about observing the sun in the first place. So Occam's razor doesn't even apply the 24-hour sun with the globe. So my answer is, if your hypothetical was true, if no observation.
So let's list the assumptions for flat Earth. They have to assume that the measurements of the distance to the sun are wrong. They have to assume that the distance to the sun is local. They have no evidence for that. They have to assume that light has a limited distance that it can travel. They have to assume that that reality is curved visual space matching some value which is unknown, but it is whatever they need it to be in order to solve the current problem they're in, right? But now he will cite papers that don't talk about the thing that he thinks they're talking about because he hasn't really read them. So there's a few things that you need to assume for flat Earth. You have to assume that all of the geodetic surveys that show that the Earth is curving don't exist, or that they're wrong, with zero evidence that they're wrong. You have to assume that the bottom-up obstruction that matches the globe and that we do observe is something else that there is no evidence for. You have to assume that the Heffron method for measuring celestial theodolite stuff is correct when it's definitely not. Lots of assumptions.
Ever matched, and yeah, sure, with specifically celestial observations, Occam's razor would benefit the globe, but that isn't actually the case. That isn't how it works at all. So you're incorrect. In fact, celestial navigation observations, the angles to the star observations, the Seattle celestial theodolite observations with the mountain obscuring it, etc., actually perfectly match the flat Earth. We can predict where it's going to be based on the flat Earth using plane geometry, and it doesn't match the globe. So the base premise that you baked in there actually isn't correct. And I do just want to make this one more meta point right here. It's like,
he doesn't want to talk about the topic. He just wants to talk about meta.
What based on the story that Jeran just said, and wait, can we do closings? Because I don't like to,
he's getting uncomfortable. Wits is not very happy because Jeran has been trashing him all night, and he's like, help, I need to close.
We didn't discuss it, but do you guys want to do closing?
Sure, you might have closings or something. Yeah,
minutes? Okay.
Yeah, we'll just do that because I don't want to go too long. I want to kind of address some of the stuff that Jeran said, though, right? Because he kind of went on a bit about the whole thing, and I want to kind of address it. But so to wrap that up, like, no, actually, Occam's razor doesn't apply because you made a claim that isn't true about how it always matches the globe doesn't match flat Earth. That isn't actually the case, and I've given multiple examples. So you're actually isolating a singular observation that requires multiple assumptions prior to you were even going to claim Occam's razor, which means it requires many assumptions. So Occam's razor doesn't apply. That's the direct answer.
Okay, thank you. All right, if you guys want to do closings, 3 minutes each. Jeran is the affirmative, so he would go first.
Okay, I think people can go back and look at the debate. I mean, if there were known anomalies with observations that the globe predicts, and what I'm just talking about is simple sunrise, sunset, angles, and times. Those are predicted by the sphere, and they are match everywhere on the Earth. There's nowhere you could go and say, oh, now I look at Google Earth and it's off by 3 hours. When Austin's talking about the stars or something being off, he's talking about tiny little bits, like a degree or something. So it's the Earth is still a sphere. If you're off a degree every once in a while, that's not going to make it flat. And to picture for yourself, an Earth that is flat is going to have much different geometry than an Earth that is a sphere. Meaning that you can't tell. Here's my new belief. I no longer think you can lie to people about the shape of the Earth unless they want to be lied to. Okay, what I mean by that is people can make observations. So if somebody comes and tells you live on a dodecahedron, you can go out and make observations and figure out that you don't, because what the dodecahedron would call for isn't matching our real world. So if the Earth is not a sphere, then we would be able to show where observations of a location somewhere in the world doesn't match what the sphere says it will, and we don't see that. So even if Austin says that we do, he can't name one. Just name one. Just tell me, like, oh, well, in Jakarta, India, whatever, they're supposed to be at 27 degrees latitude, but actually the angle to the star is 38, something like that. That would be, then you'd say, oh, there's a problem with the globe. But the globe is perfect. The globe has complete symmetry. 90 degrees south, 90 degrees north. Each place you move up, 80, 70, 60, is identical 6 months later from the other place. We have 12-hour days and 12-hour nights on the equinox for everybody. And then moving north or south, the daylight hours change perfectly, meaning that in the summer for the north, you would have 0 daylight hours at the South Pole, and you would start moving your little marker up, and it would go up perfectly until you get to 24 hours of daylight at the North Pole. That's impossible on any other shape. The fact that you have the sun going different directions. For a flat Earth, that's a paradox. For a globe Earth, it's a feature of living on the globe. For me, again, I just want to end it with this. I'm not concerned yet with the spin, everything else yet, because I'm trying to get people to understand that we live on a sphere, that you can go figure that out yourself. You don't need help. You don't need mathematics. You don't need your...
Mr. E-Man, Jeranism, you were embarrassing Witsit so badly that he felt that he had to ask for the stream to be wrapped up. Good work.
Professor or NASA or anybody, you can do it yourself. I was going to show you tonight. I didn't get around to doing that, but I even put a GoPro on a globe, spun it, like they say, looked at the observations of the light and what it does, and then matched that, and it matches exactly what we see. So therefore, we live on a sphere. It would be impossible that we didn't. And the only way that we can let them get away with supposedly lying about it is that if we let them. Meaning that, like, we all as flat earthers just believe they were lying to us, even though we can make observations that tell us that they're not. We can make observation. Now, I'm not saying all observation. I'm not saying that Austin's wrong about a lot of what he's saying. About the shape of the Earth is the globe will be globe forever. I hate to tell you, and believe me, it's unfortunate for me. I don't want it that way. I lost my channel. My channel's going to be gone. I'm going to be off of YouTube because I told truthers the truth. That's the problem.
All right. Thank you, Jeran, for those closing statements. Austin, 3 minutes. I'll begin when you start talking. You're on mute.
Thank you. One of the things that you keep on saying goes against something that you've said for many, many years, and is that people knew that the Earth was flat for thousands of years without a model, and now all of a sudden we absolutely.
But they ditched it 2,000 years ago when the globe model was presented. Oh my goodness, Austin. The lack of model is why they got rid of it.
Have to have one. We have to have one because of a singular isolated observation, right? That the globe explanation.
It's not a singular isolated observation. It's all observations, Austin.
For actually isn't even sufficient. It has insane, preposterous presuppositions before we even get to observing the sun. You just look at the final outcome right? You don't even hold those previous presuppositions at any type of a scrutiny. And I'm just pointing out that you used to repeatedly and adamantly point out, dude, what? We don't have to have a perfect model. For thousands of years, people knew the Earth was flat without a model. Now we need one specifically for one observation. Everything else gets thrown out the window. But so if Jeran had a justified belief that the Earth was planar and stationary, then a 24-hour sun over his head in the south would not falsify either planar or stationary. It only does that if he's affirming the consequent and or did not have a justified belief that the Earth was planar and stationary. Therefore, why would anyone accept his new belief that it's a globe is a justified one, considering his previous belief could not have been justified? So basically, it's just the ontological premise in which you're reaching these conclusions are flawed intrinsically in both situations. And so what I will say in closing, this is what everyone's so perplexed about, is you keep, what it sounds like to me is, in the answer to the question of why you didn't take your time or whatever, and because I was there, bro, and I had your back, and I didn't turn on you, and I still haven't, and I'm not going to, but I was there, right, and I talked to you after the plane. I know it was a genuine, sincere experience and moment that you had on the plane, and I was there, bro, I was there, and I got turned on just like you did. You may think you got it worse. I don't know. I think in a way, maybe I got it worse. Yeah. But
it's not a competition, Austin, to see who had it worse.
This is the thing, right? It's like the reason that people are so perplexed and so confused is because seemingly what happened was you came back and, like you said, we're going to go to the whiteboard. Let's get on Zoom meetings. Let's figure it out. Some of us did do that. You said that's not what happened. That's not what flat earthers did. Well, no, actually, some of us did do that. You have, again, you don't like it, but Joe Hanvey.
Wait, Austin did that after? Austin did that after? I don't think so. Here we go. Hold on. I'm working on this. There you go. There's the poll. You can all vote in that. So this Joe Hanvey model was done before. He hasn't come out with stuff after. Joe Hanvey has done nothing after to deal with the non-reflected sun.
He has shown many different possibilities. I've seen a few different possibilities, and simply the sun's in an apparent position. But you didn't actually do that. What you did was you come back and realize, yes, there were some people that absolutely that they pissed me off too. I've taken a break. Because these people just acted crazy, right? And they started attacking us. And then, like you said, they clearly did reify and internalize the AE model. And then they're like, wow, this would disprove it. So they started calling us liars. They started attacking us. They did everything that we stood against or claimed to stand against when it came to the globe, right? Just presupposing a belief and internalizing it. And whatever doesn't go along with it, we're going to turn against it. But what you've now done is kind of stereotype and holistically generalize all of us, throw us in a basket. This is why people are getting triggered with you, right? Because when you say things, you say flat earthers as if we all do that. We didn't all do anything. Right. And so, yes, in a way, in the grand scheme of things, this is going to be way beneficial for flat earth because, yeah, the cultish, like dishonest.
How is it going to be beneficial? You won't ever come up with an answer for it. It'll never happen.
People popped their head out. And so we realized, whoa, dude, we were so focused on this phenomenon on the other side or with other people or with the mainstream, we didn't realize that they were right around us as well. And so that absolutely did happen, and I stand right beside you against those people that just all turned on us. But in conclusion, I will say this is the issue. You are basically just saying they can only be this way, and you're not actually examining all the presuppositions baked in. You're not actually logically assessing it because it requires presuppositions to even make the final affirming of the consequent. That is a major point that I want.
So many just spewage of fallacy nonsense. Let's get this back up on screen here. Oh, yeah, and I need this. I'm sorry. I have to apologize. I didn't have this up.
I want you to think about because you are not you're all of a sudden able to hyper focus and isolate that singular observation and then put all of the other evidence aside, all the refutations, say, well, whatever the globe answer is, it must be true because I know it has to be a globe now, and that is not the proper way to look at it at all. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you, Austin, about the people. It's just I think I look at it and I see that there isn't the group of people that there was before. I know you're saying that there was and you were on Discord, but really what it comes down to is that when, let's say somebody in the future goes down now, they're not even going to want to go because of what happened to us. So what we've done is we've created a cult that will not accept that their information might be wrong. They can't accept, like, there's an observation that goes against us, it was fake. We were some of the top flat earthers that there are. You and I don't know what number you want to put at, top 10, something like that. But they didn't give a shit. They threw us under the bus so fast. Why? Because they don't care about fixing their position. They already are right. So
yeah, and like we agree with that. Maybe we can do a show and talk about that. We agree with that.
Sure. But like, I think that's a problem. I get what you're saying, though. I get what you're saying.
I'm going to respond to your second closing with repeat the one thing. I want you to think about this. I'm just going to repeat this thing that's written down. If Jeran had a justified belief that the Earth was planar and stationary, and then a 24-hour sun over his head in the south would not falsify either planar or stationary, it only does that if he is affirming the consequent and or did not have a justified belief that the Earth was planar and stationary. Therefore, why would anyone accept his new belief that if it's a globe, that's a justified one, considering his previous belief could not have been justified? And I want you to just think about it. I mean, I'll copy and paste it to you, and just think about it, right? Because it's like that's the issue. It's the actual route in which you're reading the conclusion.
Doesn't make sense that I would say that I thought that the South was a lie because of the map that I adhered to. Then I went looking for another map when I said, if this map's falsified, what are we going to have? And then I said, there is no other map. So there is only one flat Earth map, and it has been falsified. So you're right. You could be saying something true, meaning that like, Jeran, you don't know that there's another map that's going to come out in the future. You're right. I don't know that. There could be one, even though I've already kind of worked it out that there couldn't be one.
No, brother, that's not even what I'm saying. I'm just saying that like you're putting way too much weight on projections and models in the first place, reifying them, internalizing them, and then implementing a false dilemma, a false binary. That's what you're doing. But look, we're going to go back and forth forever. We should wrap it up.
As a moderator and a passive observer of this conversation, I'm walking away with hearing that you both had a significant moment on an airplane on the way back in which Austin was turned on also.
You heard that too? I was wondering what the hell was going on there.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, it's okay. We knew it.
That's what I heard him say.
I was turned on too, man. I was turned on too. And
what did I say?
Yeah, you said Jeran had I know you had a significant moment on the plane coming back, and I was turned on too. So yeah,
Yikes! I was trying to say.
Thanks for bringing that up, by the way. Thanks for bringing that up.
I was trying to say I was there too. I don't even know. I don't know.
It was pretty.
He was talking about the flat earthers that attacked them or turned on them.
I could bring up that AI picture of us. That was pretty nice. I won't do that.
Well, guys, I will say, can we say this? Like, let's say a good faith thing about it is like, you see, like, look, we're not literally about to go to each other's house and fight. People need to chill out because it's just like, it's just way over the top. People need to chill out on all the sides, and I'm just going to throw that out there. And that was one of the objectives with this debate as well. So.
Yeah, I'm the same person. I just have a different belief, and I would love to still be friends with the people as before. I get why they don't want that, but certainly neither one of us was paid off. Neither one of us lied. Neither one of us faked anything. So that's really what I would hope. We come back and people are like, okay, they saw it. Let's now go forward with this. But we're not even close to there. You got Vika and you got Banjo and you got literally half the community.
Yeah, it's good riddance to anyone that's not honest. Doesn't matter. If Jeran had a justified belief that the Earth was planar and stationary, then a 24-hour sun overhead in the south would not justify either planar or stationary. It only does that if he's affirmed the consequent and or did not have a justified belief that the Earth was planar and stationary. Therefore, why would anyone accept his new belief that the globe was a justified one, considering his previous belief could not have been justified? Hey, thank you so much for moderating, though.
Yeah, no problem, guys.
I know we went over and we went over. You have any?
It's okay, man. I got to go pretty soon, but I'll just let you guys know that I am excited that you guys went on this and it's cradling this discussion, because I was just talking with someone a few days ago about possibly in a couple of years going down to Antarctica myself.
Oh, by the way,
he'll never go.
Go down there. You can go down there the 14th. I'm sorry, 14th or 15th this year for only $21,000 to go on the ice marathon.
It's the 12th through the 14th of December is the marathon this year.
By the way, it's going to be really cool for like an hour.
It's not like 3.
It's really cool on the plane. If they'll just fly over,
the plane landing is cool. The plane landing is cool, but then after that, but here's Austin. You know what our problem was? Sleep.
We didn't sleep at all. I didn't sleep before I went. It was terrible.
Like, why do we have to? We should have told them when they gave us the same hotel room. Like, no, we need our own hotel room. How the hell are we going to sleep?
Yeah, it was bad. It was all bad.
Not making any sense.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks.
I've got about personally. I don't know how you want to end this, Austin.
I'll let him end it.
I'll end it. Wrap it up and end the session.
Okay.
Later.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right. Cool. Much love.
Yeah, you too.
All right. I'll go solo here. All right. Cool. So, you guys asked for a long waited. What we did clearly find out is that, it seems like a super long discussion, lots of topics that would need to be discussed for a while, right? That's how I feel. This happens with Flat Earth a lot. I mean, like the linear distribution of electrical field and stuff like that. Anyway, there were points that didn't really get covered. I'm sure he feels the same way, but there was the debate. I'm not going to just I'm not going to just talk a long time after the debate now that he doesn't get to keep saying anything. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. We are going to do the VIP after show. We're actually way behind with everything, obviously, now. So give me a minute to just kind of use the bathroom, maybe get a snack, and I'll come back up here. We're going to do a VIP after show. And so we'll have a bunch of different legends in there.
All right. That's enough. So if you have not yet voted in the poll, there is a poll. Go vote in it. Let me read this. In the Life says Keith Cameron Smith is the worst humans on earth. Worst human. He is a disgusting piece of filth. Yes, I think he was on Simon Dan's today. Covered him. Yep. He's a chicken. He is absolutely an echo chamber piece of trash human. He blocks people. He doesn't want anybody contradicting him in the comments section of any of his videos. He pre-blocks people. I've been on TikTok panels where as I came in, he left, and then after I left, he came back in. He's such a chicken. Like, disgustingly chicken. How I don't understand how somebody can be such a piece of filth as he is. And he lies so much. He said before we went to Antarctica, he said that he claimed that we would not see the 24-hour sun. He was 100% certain of it. Guess what? He was wrong. Did he recant from that? No. He deleted that video. Penguin J says Earth isn't flat or a sphere. It's penguin-shaped. I'll take that. Definitely. Michael Gaylord says, request to have Lucy AI to call Dick Wayne C-U-N-T. I don't have Lucy AI. That's Craig that has that. But Michael Gaylord, you're right. That is a great description of Dick Wayne. Jim Daniels for $20. Jim, that would be Jack's brother, by the way, says that this has been a great night for learning stuffs. Steel City JW taught me how to remove that silly XP gimmick, and the YouTube block feature really works. I see folks bantering with a dick, but I don't see the dick. Tim Davidson says, Witsit is not a platypus. He's a llama. They spit. Yeah. And let me see here. Here we go. There you go. There's Witsit the llama. Witsit the llama. Thank you, everybody. Let's see. I got some others here. Let's see. We got an awful lot of this getting pounded tonight. Look at that. So much copium being. I mean, he's guzzling that almost as fast as a flat earther guzzles piss. And then here you go. This is what happened. The Jeran trashed him. You better vote in that poll, people. Hurry up and vote in that poll. There's 205 votes so far. We need more. There's 600 of you watching, so I want to see a few more. We got Kango44 for 5 Kiwi bucks. This is so embarrassing. Out on the streets, a derpy BS, then being flown to Antarctica and seeing the sun for 24 hours. He has no shame. That was just after I played, I think, the clip of Austin saying a whole bunch of stuff about Antarctica that turned out to not be true at all. He was so bold saying it, though. King Ed V says the whole falsification line Witsit uses is hilarious because he has yet to falsify anything. Is he really that unself-aware of what he says? Yeah, he thinks he has falsified things because he has no clue how to do stuff, right? No, not a clue at all. Michael Gaylord gifted to 10 memberships. Thank you so much for that. Tim Davidson says, in the beginning there was nothing, then God said let there be light, and there was still nothing, but you could see it. Terry Pratchett. Very nice. Rossi says, Oakley can't go on streams where he doesn't have the mute button. That's right. His life partner, the mute button, prohibits it. Scotty Orange, who says, for $5, how do you argue against someone who believes in aetherons or etherons? How... or that ether exists. The problem is, of course, Austin has admitted that it is purely a religious position that he holds, that the ether exists. He's admitted that. Dick, wait, are you so angry because you had to age out of high school? You seem to have peaked in maturity around the same time. I peaked in maturity much earlier than that. What are you talking about? But no, I did not age out of high school, Dick. So funny. I did go to university, in fact, and studied electrical engineering and computer science. And since then, I have worked writing software, primarily email filtering software. So I don't... just saying wrong things isn't really all that impressive. So, whatever. Tori Hanzo for 100 sex says, thank you for covering this. Have some sex from us in the TDDS Discord. Thank you very much. 78 Mitsu says, can we play Fallacy Bingo next go round? That would be good. I have a list here. Well, there's Fallacy Bingo needs 24, and I think there's just 18 in this list, but we could make it work. There's 19 in the list. 19. So yeah, that would be great. We can do that. Make up toss a couple more there. Algorithm says the black swan argument is a textbook equivocation. I think it's a fine construction of a hypothesis. It's a falsification test, but it is a poorly constructed falsification test. The structure is fine, but the intentionally ignoring refraction is ridiculously dumb. It's incredibly dishonest. So, Larry Scott says, misquote, it's not more than 1.22. It's not less than 1.22. So that is the, let me see if I can find the actual, well, I think I closed it. Let me see here. Hold on. Andrew Young, distance to the horizon. All right, so here is the distance to the horizon, and so Austin also often says not more than 1.22. This quote says about 1.23. It's actually 1.225. So when Austin quotes 1.22, he's not rounding correctly, but it doesn't matter. It's a small difference. So it doesn't say more than or less than. It says about. Of course, he doesn't consider this refraction considered simply. He doesn't consider variable gradients or nasty complications. He just ignores all of these things. All of them. Why? Because it's the only way for his flat earth fantasy to have any hope of doing anything. So he doesn't mind being dishonest. Flat earthers generally never mind being dishonest. That's the problem. So, we got algorithm there. Okay, we got Larry Scott, read that. Okay, we got iSolder74 says the bottom of both rigs are missing. He won't mention this. Of course not. Of course he won't mention that the bottom of both rigs are missing, because they've never actually looked to see if the bottom of the rigs are missing. They've never done that. They just assume they're there. Right? They're only told what to think by their flat earth flirt masters. Addicted to Globing says, I didn't buy tickets to the summit, didn't want my money going to Spitz It. Here's a little reimbursement. Thanks, Toon. Thank you very much for that. Addicted to Globing. I appreciate it. And then Addicted to Globing says, where's the guns, Nathan? Where's the guns? You lied. he takes that call as a win. What a strange guy. Like, he made very specific claims about what would happen in Antarctica. Those claims are still on his Facebook page today, or at least last I checked. You can still go to Nathan Oakley Facebook page, go back about 8 years, and see him making very specific claims about going to. He says, I would love to go to Antarctica, but you can't. You'll get turned away at gunpoint. He said that. Still there. Tim Davidson says, the only thing faster than light is bad news. Once someone did figure out how to use it as a propulsion, but once they got someplace, no one wanted them there. So all they had is bad news, you see. Addicted to Globing again for $20 comes in and says, Jeran lost money by admitting the truth, yet they call him a sellout. I can get a job if the worst comes to it. I trust Jeran to run our equipment over 90% of our other operators. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Oh, I can get him a job. Well, addicted to globing, there you go. Jeran, there's an option. Jeran, if he can make his channel work well enough, then he won't need to. He's got other stuff going on. But since since the trip, his views, his income have gone down. You know, what does he say? Sometimes always honest, sometimes right. Like I respect that. He did the right thing, knowing he knew that it was going to affect him. And but this over a year ago, when it was in April, so back in March or early April, Will told me about that he was the one behind the final experiment. And then so later in April, I helped him assemble a meeting with a bunch of the flat earthers. We tried to get all 24 flat earth debunkers. Tried to get all 24 of them to come to this meeting. We got about half. And I was as that meeting was going on, I was looking at this. I go, this is a group of people that know that if this trip happens and works as rational and is accepted by flat earthers as rational people would, it would ruin our channels. It would severely impact our income. And every one of us there is like, okay, that's fine. I'll take that for the betterment, for better, right? And I've said it, many times. I would happily accept all flat earthers saying, I was just kidding, and then going away and never coming back, knowing that it would negatively affect my channel. I would take that. Somebody just sent me a DOI link, and I can't not look at a DOI link. So, social media's role in X conspiracy. Wait, I think YouTube's turning me into a flat earther. Social media's role in X conspiracy theorists entering and exiting anti-scientific communities. Just came out yesterday. Here's the whole link to it. Very nice. I'll have to read it later. Looks like the entire thing is available on that site there. So very cool. Thank you for that link. All right. Brandon says, does Austin have to tell himself to breathe? He's got gills. Jack Fetter says, presuppose is the new bro. I can't listen. I don't. He said it so many times. Davids says, in boxing, they call this a 10-7. I mean, bowling. Is it bowling? In disc golf, an albatross. He smacked Witspit off his fictional edge, is what I'm saying. Yes, Jeran did. Galaxy Soup said you should put that fallacy list on the back of the dressing bottle as the ingredients. Oh, that's genius. I love it. Jack Fetter comes in and says, I draw the line at sympathy. Jeran got himself in the flat earth BS hole, and he dug in good. If anything, it's the cost of stupid or being gullible. Hey, I think that's fair. And I think Jeran has acknowledged that too. So there we go. I've caught up with those there. And what else do we have? All right. We got the poll has 269 votes. I'm going to end it here. So who won? Jeran or Whitsitt? Of course, Jeran won 96%. Whitspit 3%. I think I figured out the 10-7 thing. It's a KO that got his teeth knocked out. Oh, like a 10-7 split in bowling, except in boxing, where okay, I got it. These two are gone, and it's just yep. That's it. We got some dumb flurfs in the chat. I'm glad to have you here. Eduardo Ferrero for $5 says Jeran is a king. MCToon, you too. I assume MCToon. He will become one of the top 10 flat earth debunker channels in 2 years. Bring it on. Absolutely. Like I said, when we all sat in that meeting over a year ago, and knowingly or not knowingly, I was sitting there being conscious of it, thinking about it, like we are potentially signing the end of our content as we know it. It hasn't turned out that way. It has tapered, and I appreciate that it has tapered. I'm okay with that. If Jeran's channel skyrockets and mine falters because of it, fine. I'm totally fine with that. Good for Jeran if that's going to be the case. So, Dick Wayne, what map do you use when you are navigating and measuring Earth? A globe-based map, Dick Wayne. Just like you do, Dick Wayne. Typically, you're using it on a phone, which internally is a globe, right? And of course, it's got a 2D screen. So it can only show you a 2D representation of the globe on the 2D screen. But if you want, you can do non-precise navigation using this. It's non-precise because of the scale. My goodness. How silly. Anyway, so tomorrow I will be doing a live stream with Crick. And then Thursday, probably not, because I have the conference this coming Friday, Secret Con in St. Paul. I'm speaking at 5:30 p.m. at Secret Con in St. Paul. If you want, you can just Google Secret Con. You'll see me on the speakers list. And then Saturday, going to the Minnesota Science Museum, which is in St. Paul. J.R. Pence says, never you mind, plenty of derp to debunk out there. I know, that's the thing. It's a target-rich environment. I'm not worried at all. Debatable D says, Dick Wayne is just upset that Flat Earth is dead, and the only thing for a model being presented is Arwen's looping Earth. I know. So if you don't know, Arwen's model of Flat Earth is the Mercator map. And it loops like on a treadmill. What happens if you go north? Don't know. What happens if you go south? Don't know. Why are the distances are all not correct and the land mass is distorted north and south? Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Right? It just loops like on a treadmill. So Dick Wayne says, oh, you can't scale that. Of course I can. Of course I can scale. I don't know what your problem is, Dick Wayne. Of course I can scale. Silly kid. So what's the deal about Whitsitt and divorce? I cannot ever imagine marrying him in the first place. Well, I mean, you're probably not into him, but so Whitsitt and divorce. So The rumor is that since I don't know when, but there's a video that Kai posted in March of a pretty nasty fight that they were having just a day or two after he returned from Antarctica. And he called her a whore and said that he hates her. Pretty rough stuff to say to the person that you have 2 children with. She posted that video. Kai posted that video in March. It was recorded in late December. She posted it in March to the Earth Awakening's Discord server. So there's that. It is rumored that she no longer lives there and that she is elsewhere. That's the rumor. I can't. I don't have any confirmation of that, but that is what what has been said on the street. So if anybody gets any confirmation of that, like real information, that'd be good, because right now it's speculative mostly. It's rumors. I don't know. Take it at that, okay? Take it as a preliminary thing. But there's also another piece of evidence in this. Shortly after Kai posted that video, Austin's like, oh, hey, I need to do a $10,000 fundraiser. Didn't explain why. People were wondering, is it something for house related, something for legal expenses having to do with Kai and kids and all that? Don't know, but there was speculation about that. And then one more piece, when he was arrested because he spat in her face, she signed the order to keep away, the restraining order. It wasn't called a restraining order, but maybe it depends on the state. She did not sign that with last name Whitsitt. She signed that with last name, her maiden name. So that tells me that they probably did not get legally married. So, and this document is public information. I'm not revealing anything that's not already in the Florida state court system that people could go retrieve on their own if they wanted. So, so that's the foundation of those things. So several different pieces of evidence to suggest that to me that I don't think they were ever legally married, and because the reason why is I don't think Austin would be happy with her not taking his last name if they did get legally married. Okay, that's what I think. Like, he's quite a chauvinist, a misogynist, and in some of the videos where she's jokingly, but I think it's a little irritated, talking about the wife's place, right? And I think that's coming maybe from him. Anyway, a couple videos in that, leave you to find them. So anyway, PG Tony, it's not on task, but somebody asked, and so there you go. That's why. So is it none of our business? Well, she posted something. I don't know. The fact that she posted something on a Discord server, does that say something? I don't know. Anyway, that's why I won't say any more about that now. So anyway, I don't know. All right. Either way, he's a wet turd. Indeed, he's a wet turd. He's an unexpected shart at a funeral. That's as so there it is. 12 Monkey says she made it public. It can be discussed, right? And arrest records, they're public. I don't know. Does that bring it into the? So, Yeah, also this. Oh, interesting. All right. Anyway, so that's what I got. That's what's going on. Tomorrow with Craig and I, what are we going to be doing? Don't know. But I know what I'm going to be playing now. I'm going to do this one. So we did, this one began with the remake of Humbly Bro. So we've got two of those. And so then we've got this one. People, thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
I'm Nathan Thompson. Joe Biden. Oh, and the Earth is flat.
No, hold on, wrong one. I need the song. There it is. Here's the song.
I'm Nathan Thompson, Joe Biden. Oh, and the Earth is flat. This dude thinks the Earth is flat for me. Blah, 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 brain coach. Oh, the battery's dead.
Oh yeah, go to Jeran's live stream after this. If you do nothing, you will be redirected there.
I like, bro, cool story, bro. So I'm like, wow, I literally never saw the dude not drunk, bro, like literally ever, okay? It's like, dude, I gave it to you, bro. Get an F in life, bro. Hey, bro, cry me a river, bro. Oh, wow, are you what a psycho, bro? Ha ha, later, bro. Hello, what a psycho, bro. He said, have a nice, bro. I said, I'll pray for you, bro. Shut the F up, bro. You ha 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 ha. He's but, bro, what a weirdo. I don't call the cops. They wear pentagrams on their chest. They can only have 105 IQ. I'm not a big fan. Hey, bro, Austin's such an idiot. I'm like, what? Because I got kicked off about right. What? Are you kidding me, bro? You know, bouncing golf balls on hammers and juggling. It takes a little SpongeBob doll starts hitting it. What? Bob is like the OG, bro. What a loser. You going too deep, bro, dude. This is the surface, bro, dude. Like, that's not okay, bro. This doesn't add up. It's a bad look for the flat earth. I will press charges, bro. Don't make me do this, bro. The bromance is over. You much left, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro. Oh, I'm Nathan Thompson. Like, bro, like, calm down, bro. Like, all right, I'm getting bumps all over my stomach, bro. Like, they were smashing me, bro. They were feasting. That is his identity, bro. I'm Nathan Thompson. I'm effing Nathan Thompson. I am flat earth. I'm the best flat earth actress ever flattered. There's nothing without me. What a cool story, bro. He was in prison for literally nothing, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm like at 10 takes, bro. I'm not exaggerating. Like, cool story, bro. When you see the rainbow in entirety and completion, it's physical, literal evidence that the firm is still there. Rest assured, the earth's not about the flood, bro. You're good, but please stop talking crazy in the checks. I will continue to expose you. Like I said, the clip is only half empty, bro. Geo, bro. Like, love me, bro. Like, love me. I gave Geo the first bone he's ever had. Just get out, just leave, bro. No one cares. Memorize alternative things. Mr. Brain Train, Mr. Smart Genius. Guy flew out to LA and put on a duck suit and stacked toilet paper, saying it was gonna go to the moon, bro. Purposely, it misspelled the most important word, bro. To shut, bro. It doesn't add up, bro. Something doesn't add up. Something's fishy here, bro. Yeah, whenever I was like, dude, if you don't stop, go crazy, I'm gonna have to fight. He would just take off all his clothes, bro. Like, what a weirdo. Thanks for much love. I need a safe word. Keep taking that higher road, bro. It'll come back to you. I'm honestly, feels disgusting and filthy. I feel like I need to take a shower.